The empire thinks it is preparing for a political game, but Zhuo Fan is bringing a demon's patience into the heart of their capital. Every faction wants to measure him, use him, or break him, and none of them understand how dangerous it is to invite a monster into their own house. Subscribe if you want the full rise of the demonic emperor without missing the next ambush. In the Demonic Emperor Part 16, Zhuo Fan steps deeper into the capital's web of schemes, where reputation, fear, and hidden power collide before the next war truly begins. Yun Shuang refused to believe it. She was stiff for a minute and then bolted for Parish. "Call the elders, we're going as well," Zhuo Fan shouted. Luo Yuncheng nodded and called them. Li Jingshan and the power couple arrived. They were around the young miss and princess, protecting them as they went along to Parish. At the parish, Zio Dongzi took them to where Yun Xuanji received guests, but what they saw inside had everyone stunned. Yun Xuanji was still in his seat but covered in blood. He was clearly more than a little roughed up, his eyes gouged and his head slumped. "Grandfather," Yun Shuang held the body and cried. Luo Yuncheng and the princess were taken in by sadness, going to her to soothe her pain. Having lost her father as well, Luo Yuncheng could relate with Xuanger's pain. Her eyes grew red and tears soon fell. Zhuo Fan watched it all with a critical eye, turning to Li Jingshan. "What do you guys make of this? The Yun clan has stood for 1,000 years in Tianyu, always neutral and respected, not to mention it is the third pillar. Just who could have done this at such a crucial time?" Li Jingshan frowned. Qiu Yanhai nodded as well. "He's been reduced to such a state, yet everything around him lies undisturbed and clean. That means he was brought here dead. Moreover, were his eyes scooped up because of their ability to see fate? If it were just for the eyes, Yun clan would have long since been kidnapped in the past 1,000 years. The death of Yun Xuanji is for a different reason. And since he died, the killer took his eyes while he was at it to do a little research." Gasping, Zhuo Fan spoke with calm, but his mind replayed his encounter with Yun Xuanji. He found Yun Xuanji's tone odd at the time. The way he gave his granddaughter away felt less like gaining a helper rather than fulfilling the old man's will. Did he see his end coming? Zhuo Fan squinted as his thoughts wandered. Luo Yuncheng said, "You're all experts. After all this talking, have you found who killed Xuanger's grandfather or not?" Yun Shuang's sobbing stopped and her ears sharpened. Princess looked interested as well. "The imperial capital is in troubled waters right now. Who knows who did it?" Zhuo Fan shrugged. "What matters now is finding a safe place for the Yun clan. Now I know why Yun Xuanji gave me Xuanger. It was his final wish, having foreseen his own death. It's all my fault. With grandfather always doing the reading, I never tried doing it on him. If only I'd been more aware." Yun Shuang's tears resumed from pain. The two girls rushed to console her. Zhuo Fan smiled. "Don't blame yourself. Your grandfather did it with this in mind. For his principles, the high priest knew he was at his end and chose to go like this. I truly admire his resolve and righteousness. To honor him, I will not only look after you, but your clan as well. Young miss, what do you say?" "Of course," Luo Yuncheng nodded with resolve. Yun Shuang wiped her tears, moved by her new sister's kindness. Then she said to Zhuo Fan, "Forgive me, Steward Zhuo. I always took you for a demon, but you aren't even a bad man. Thank you. It's fine. I'm quite the baddie sometimes, you know." "Ha ha ha," Zhuo Fan had a vague smile. With the imperial capital in unrest and the Yun clan without a leader, it will become the pawn of every player in pursuit for power. I propose that we move the Yun clan to Blackwind Mountain. There they will be safe. What do you think? It's great, but Yun clan has thousands of people. Moving them all will require His Majesty's approval," Yun Shuang muttered. Zhuo Fan gave an evil grin. "Fret not. Have you forgotten who I am? I am the best steward beneath heavens. Leave it to me." He handed Li Jingshan the cape that the emperor gave him. "Elder Lei, take this and leave with the Yun clan as quickly as possible. You three will look after them. Once outside the imperial capital, send someone to report what has happened to the imperial palace." "Understood," Li Jingshan nodded and bowed, but used silent transmission when he noticed Zhuo Fan's look. "Steward Zhuo, when did you become a saint? It's not your style, or did you suddenly take a liking to that miss?" "Stuff it. I'm not that dirty-minded." Snorting, Zhuo Fan sent back, "Ignore what happens around you and you'll soon be knee-deep in trouble. Every generation of the Yun clan has had a person that can read fate. With them in dire straits, it is the best chance to use them. You can't even see something that obvious." Li Jingshan got it at last and gave Zhuo Fan a sneaky thumbs up. "Steward Zhuo, you're stupendous. You're reaping rewards from the hard work of others. Cut the crapola. They're here to take the heat while we reap the fields. If the mastermind knew all his effort was in our favor, he'd probably have blown a gasket or two, hee. Zhuo Fan snickered. Li Jingshan said, "Steward Zhuo, then you know who." "Can't say, but this game sure is fun." Zhuo Fan's eyes shone. Li Jingshan nodded and obeyed. With Yun Shuang as the clan head successor, she was most important. With her explanation, Yun clan accepted the transition, now marching for the Luo clan's domain. At the city gates, the guards were about to stop the mass of people, but Li Jingshan unfolded the best steward beneath heaven's cape, shutting them up. Everyone knew by now that the Luo clan had Zhuo Fan as the best steward beneath heavens, who was of immense power. He moved the armies and governed the nation's affairs. A man such as him was not to be stepped on by a bunch of guards. Hence, under the three elders' escort, Yun clan left the imperial capital. 10 miles out, they had someone report to the emperor. High priest is dead. The emperor slapped the armrest of his throne, then slumped in it as tears flowed. High priest, you've helped me and the people so much. How's now that you left, who will help me? Who will show me the way? Your Majesty, please restrain your grief. The death of the high priest affects the entire nation. I vow to find the killer and bring him to justice. Dugu Zhanshan cupped his hands. He was in pain just as well. The high priest was the one to recommend him to the emperor. But in a time like this, he still kept the attitude of an upright marshal. Sima Hui advised, Your Majesty, Marshal Dugu is right. We need to find the culprit. For the third pillar, high priest, to die in our own backyard, this is a grave insult to our empire. It must be one of those factions. Your Majesty should summon and reprimand them. That's right. I have put up with those deceitful scoundrels for too long. They've gone too far. The emperor shouted, Dugu Zhanshan, seal the city. No one gets in or out. Call for the 8 noble houses, Zhuge Chengfeng and Yun clan's survivors. I will question them personally. Understood. Dugu Zhanshan bowed and rushed outside. The imperial capital was abuzz. The army moved like lightning in sealing the gates. The small-time merchants were clueless as to the reason and closed up shop as well. Within minutes, there was not a trace of people on the main street. It had turned into a haunted city. Zhuo Fan and his people waited in the Yun clan, looking after the body. Hearing the disturbance outside, Zhuo Fan grinned, music to my ears. Humph, you just want the world to burn, Yang Ning scoffed. Zhuo Fan nodded with a winsome smile. True, that's just who I am. How else do you expect me to use my bag full of tricks? And now it's only rowdy, not a complete stalemate. Zhuo Fan's gaze was sharp and deep. Meanwhile, on Regent Estate's side, despite the hubbub outside, Huangpu Tianyuan, Ling Wucheng and the elders sat quite casually in their seats in their hall. The door burst open and Dugu Lin in heavy armor stomped over. He cupped his hands, a state lord by his majesty's decree, please come to the imperial palace. What is it this time? Why all the commotion? Opening his lazy eyes, Huangpu Tianyuan said. Dugu Lin's reply was cold. High priest Yun Xuanji was killed. His majesty is tracking down the culprit. The high priest is dead. All the calm left Huangpu Tianyuan, and even Ling Wucheng found it hard to believe. The news spread like wildfire through the clans, everyone beset with the same reaction. Among the cries of shock, there were many doubts as well. Who in this land dares to strike down the high priest? In the expansive palace, the emperor sat on his throne with a hard stare cast below. Zhuo Fan, Huangpu Tianyuan and the house lords were on the left side, while Dugu Zhanshan, Zhuge Chengfeng and other officials were on the right. In the middle of the court lay the body of high priest Yun Xuanji. Next to the body was his charming and sobbing granddaughter, Yun Shuang. The 8 houses sighed at this loss, along with every official. The emperor eyed every single one of them before snapping. To lay a hand on Tianyu's high priest is to think of oneself above the law, a taunt to the empire. Every one of you here is a person of renown in your respective field, all vying for power. What do all of you make of the high priest's death? Your Majesty, high priest seldom left his home and lived a dull life. Parish has few guards as well, being a peak profound heaven expert himself. The suspect could only be someone extraordinary since it required power to kill him. And to move in and out without a sound, that would make the suspect someone with great sway within the empire. Dugu Zhanshan bowed before the emperor and concluded his analysis, making sure to flick a cold gaze towards the left side at the end of his speech. Ling Wucheng caught it and snorted. Marshal Dugu's vague explanation clearly projects the blame on the 8 houses. But have you forgotten? Besides the 8 houses, Tianyu has another strong power, the 4 pillars. Especially the first 2. What did you say? Dugu Zhanshan flared. Ling Wucheng, are you accusing me of something? Humph, I've always been above board, upright and honest. I would never repay the high priest's kindness with such a vile act. Ling Wucheng flapped his fan open. Old Marshal, take it easy. I wasn't talking about you. It was a mere reminder to expand the list of suspects to include everyone lest the suspect slips away. Humph, in any case, I had nothing to do with the high priest's demise. I vow on my army's name, only the culprit knows who he is, but I will be damn sure to wring him out. Dugu Zhanshan roared at the heavens. Ling Wucheng merely shook his head in disdain. The old guy is good at fighting, but he's dumb as a post when it comes to politics. He'll never find the killer in his life, though this affair has gathered many big players and has a high potential of breaking the stalemate. It's as if an unseen hand moved everyone here from the shadows. The feeling is most unsettling. Lang Wucheng frowned in Zhuo Fan's direction, but what he saw was a tranquil and omniscient face. The emperor looked at their reaction and said, "Only an extraordinary person could have done this, that much is true. However, that does not give enough credence to make everyone here a suspect." Then, "Holy Maiden, may I ask, who was the last person to see the high priest alive?" Yun Shuang's eyes drifted to Zhuo Fan and she continued after his nod, "Your Majesty, it was the Luo clan's steward Zhuo Fan." SSS the hall was filled with gasps and all eyes turned to him. The emperor had just named him to be the best steward beneath heavens, and now he was involved in high priest's murder. What validated him more as a suspect was Dugu Zhanshan's analysis. This brash kid has run amok even in the imperial capital, who hadn't heard of Zhuo Fan's handiwork. Wherever he went, he left chaos in his wake. He feared nothing and killed anyone that even looked at him funny, a demon archon. Did he kill the high priest after a dispute? Funnily enough, everyone believed it, but to go as far as to kill the high priest painted a target on his back, making him the public enemy number one. All their gazes turned morose. The emperor demanded, "Was it you, Zhuo Fan?" "Was what, me?" Zhuo Fan furrowed an eyebrow and smiled. "If your majesty is referring to the last person to visit high priest, then yes, that would be me mostly. But if we were to jump to conclusions and state that the high priest's killer and his last visitor were the same, that would be ill-advised. And how are you going to prove your innocence?" The emperor stared at him. With a smirk, Zhuo Fan shrugged. "Easy, I have a rock-solid alibi. Me and the high priest got along so well together that he saw me out and even gave me Miss Schuinger. Ever since I left the parish, I was always with Miss Schuinger. She is my first witness. Next would be the second prince since he kidnapped us. And then he asked Miss Schuinger if he had the right. Fine, I get it. You're absolved." With a wave, Zhuo Fan's voice drifted off and the emperor clenched his jaw in hatred. Zhuo Fan was clearly hanging the second prince's matter over his head. If the emperor let that matter come out, he'd be in even more of a mess. Then his thoughts drifted to his second son, asking Holy Maiden to ascertain his right to rule and his claim on the throne. But how could he let Zhuo Fan say that? With Zhuo Fan's cunning nature, he was sure Zhuo Fan would drag his son down with him, dragging the entire imperial family in these muddy waters. They would not only lose initiative, but it would be a miracle if they could wash this shame. The emperor wished he could snap his second son's neck. "You just had to do that now." Glaring at Zhuo Fan, the emperor nodded. "Steward Zhuo, wise and brave, honest and upright. It is highly unlikely for you to have done this savage act." Zhuo Fan beamed back a calm smile. Zhu Changfeng and Lang Wucheng snickered inside. The two were aware of the second prince's fiasco all right, although not entirely. But Zhuo Fan, who was involved as a victim, had no qualms in pushing the emperor's buttons. The emperor is losing what little grip he has on the Luo clan. However, Zhuo Fan, was there anyone else in the parish before you left? Since Luo clan gave him the slip, the emperor moved to the next best thing, Regent Estate. Zhuo Fan nodded. He was quite blunt about it too. Estate Lord Huangpu Tianyuan and Sir Leng were guests there, and let me tell you, they weren't very friendly either. Huangpu Tianyuan and Lang Wucheng's faces sank. They were clear of their innocence, but feared Zhuo Fan and the emperor would join hands in dragging them in. The emperor lit up. The scamp finally got on point for once. He didn't get to enjoy barking at them, though, not while Zhuo Fan said, but after only raising their voices a bit, they left. At the door, they bumped into me, where they raised their voices at me for a time. Irrelevant, the emperor dissed him, but Zhu Changfeng had a faint smile, raising his hand. "No, your majesty, it is very crucial. Regent Estate is cleared of charges as well." "How?" The emperor shuddered. Zhu Changfeng continued, "Your majesty, consider this." The two were furious yet didn't strike the high priest even when oblivious to the fact that there was someone outside. To not attack at that time, thinking they're alone, it goes on to show that they never wanted him dead. They are ruled out. That's a fairly good point. Zhuo Fan raised an eyebrow, putting on the most innocent look he could muster. Zhu Changfeng chuckled at his reaction. The emperor's eyebrows jumped in rage. He was livid. Try as he might, he couldn't find anything in his investigation to tie the rest of the people there to the case. He finished with telling them not to leave town. Zhuo Fan was walking outside when Lang Wucheng left Huangpu Tianyuan behind and approached with cupped hands. "Steward Zhuo, we may be enemies, but thank you for that." Zhuo Fan grinned at his meaning and deadpanned. "We are enemies, yes, but we also need to coexist. Besides, I didn't do it for you. I know that, but one needs to give thanks when it's due, Steward Zhuo." "Ha ha ha, since when have you two been so close?" As Lang Wucheng bowed, a cheerful laughter announced the coming of Zhu Changfeng. "Oh, Prime Minister Zhu, thank you as well." "It's nothing. Steward Zhuo guided me." Zhu Changfeng smiled. "I picked up on Steward Zhuo's intention of helping the Regent Estate when he recounted what happened at Parish and thought of lending Luo clan a hand." His Majesty's plan would have worked otherwise. Indeed, the Emperor is using the High Priest's death to summon the clans, an excuse to deal with the Luo clan and regent estate. Our houses may be strong, but the Emperor took this chance to use the power of the court and to eradicate us both. This sudden development could have been the end of us. Zhuo Fan squinted. Even with Luo clan in the clear and the regent estate becoming the patsy for murder, the Emperor would have charged us to annihilate you, pitting us against each other. It drew every bit of power from the best steward beneath heaven's title the Emperor bestowed upon me. I can't just bear the title and shirk responsibility now, can I? Ha ha ha, Steward Zhu is sharp as a tack, able to analyze the bigger picture with a glance. I approve. Zhu Chengfeng cupped his hands. Ling Wucheng sighed with a nod. If we three pool our minds, no one could touch us, not even the Emperor. What a shame. There's nothing to feel sorry about. With how lonely it is at the top, it'd be boring. Zhuo Fan grinned. Zhu Chengfeng and Ling Wucheng laughed, lamenting about the ill circumstances they met in. Interest made them enemies, but that didn't stop respect from forming. And now that they had worked together like clockwork to fight off the court, they felt like old friends. How often did one find a person after his own heart? What do you guys think? Who killed the high priest in the end? Zhu Chengfeng asked. Zhuo Fan and Ling Wucheng exchanged a smile. Do you need to ask? It all became clear the instant the Emperor asked me who else had been at Parish. When everything is said and done, the imperial capital is still in the hands of the imperial family. The others saw the wisdom in his words and nodded, their hearts clear of all doubts. The fourth pillar Shadow Guard's Captain Shadow King answers directly to His Majesty. He may even be around us right now. Zhu Chengfeng's eyes shone. Zhuo Fan and Ling Wucheng nodded. Zhuo Fan had heard of this Shadow King. Unlike the first three pillars, the fourth was very secretive and never left a trace. Secretive to the point that only the Emperor and all of Tianyu knew his face, coming and leaving like a shade, worthy of being called just that. Steward Zhu, a charming voice caught Zhu Fan's attention. Yun Shuang rushed towards him in worry as she pleaded. Zio Dongzi and the others are in danger. Please save them. Zhu Fan knew that she was talking about her clan on its way to Blackwind Mountain. But how did she know they're in danger? Yun Shuang answered his thoughts. Intuition. Holy Maiden can read fate, so her intuitions must be true. Zhu Chengfeng nodded. Zhu Fan sighed. Then I'll go take a look outside the imperial capital. Gents, please see that Miss Shuinger arrives at the Luo clan safely. Ha ha ha, nothing to worry about. Ling Wucheng and Zhu Chengfeng smiled. Ling Wucheng frowned though. Is Steward Zhu going to fight his way out of the sealed imperial capital? Ha ha ha, you're quite shrewd. I'm not that stupid to give the Emperor an excuse. Laughing, Zhu Fan's right eye flashed golden and he poofed out of existence. Ling Wucheng praised. Zhu Fan is a true freak with freaky skills to boot. If he wants to leave town, no one will know. Ha ha ha, so true. How else would you have suffered at his tricks? Zhu Chengfeng nodded. Ling Wucheng flushed. He gave Huangpu Tianyuan a word, then fulfilled his promise of escorting Yun Shuang to the Luo clan with Zhu Chengfeng. While he was at it, he made sure to investigate the Yun clan and Luo clan's ties. He learned that the high priest left Yun Shuang in Zhu Fan's care to even assist him. Ling Wucheng and Zhu Chengfeng shared a look and realized the high priest's cause of death. He crossed the line. What still eluded them, though, was why the high priest was willing to give his life for the Luo clan. Oh, we're here. Thank you so much for escorting me. Yun Shuang bowed deeply. The two returned the gesture, then Ling Wucheng asked, Miss Yun Shuang, what will you be doing with the high priest's body? Oh, as gratitude for His Majesty's favor, grandfather will be laid to rest in the imperial cemetery. Yun Shuang spoke, subdued. Ling Wucheng sighed, as it should be, although, will the high priest ever rest knowing his enemy will pose at his funeral all to look good in front of the people? What? Yun Shuang shuddered. Sir Ling, what did you say? Oh, did I speak out too loud? Ha ha ha, sorry, I was only mumbling to myself, just take it as if it never happened. Ling Wucheng played the fool. Yun Shuang frowned. There's no way, I clearly heard you say enemy. Do you know who killed my grandfather? Please tell me. Yun Shuang looked at him in tears, holding Ling Wucheng's arm. Ling Wucheng gave her a long look, but removed her hands with a sigh. Forgive me, but I know nothing. It's best if you ask Steward Zhuo. Ling Wucheng turned away, yet glee danced in his and Zhu Chengfeng's eyes when they met, leaving with one final bow. Yun Shuang just stood there dazed, muttering to herself, ask Steward Zhuo. Does he know who killed grandfather? After Ling Wucheng caught up, Zhu Chengfeng shook his head. Sir Ling, that wasn't very nice of you. Zhu Fan helped you in the court, yet now you are leaving him with a headache. With the Yun clan and Luo clan's close relationship, if Yun clan causes trouble, Luo clan will be dragged into it. Ha ha ha, oh please, Prime Minister Zhuge. Didn't Zhu Fan say we're only saving our own skin? And we're still enemies, aren't we? I'm sure he would have done the same thing if he were me. With how everything's a stalemate, there will be someone who will stir the water, no matter how much neither of us wants to be the one in the limelight. And since someone has stirred up the pot, we all have much to look forward to, don't we? Zhu Chengfeng's eyes shone with joy as well. Meanwhile, 20 miles out of the imperial capital, a throng of thousands of people was marching towards Wingei's city. Li Jingxin and the power couple were hovering above, ensuring their safety. Among the cooling breeze and the sun glaring through the mountains, this trip felt like a scenic route. It was then that the wind came down fast and hard, stirring the birds. The entire sky turned black in seconds. Then came the wails, grating at people's minds. Humph, they're finally here, Li Jingxin snickered and his knuckles cracked, his eyes shining in excitement. A martial fanatic would start feeling moody if he didn't get his daily dose of brawl. Qu Yanhai and Zhu Qingjian showed a wide grin as well. Fire and ice spread as they looked up at the encroaching darkness. Wu, the howling of ghosts, announced the incoming black figures descending in droves. They all wore black armor and black helmets that hid their faces. Only the thin slits in those helmets showed heavy gazes, the only sight in this world of black and shuddering cold. They were not human, but closer to Asuras from hell. With each of them wielding a half-a-meter-long curved blade, the image of demons was further engraved in the hearts of men. Swallowing dryly, the mass of people fell back. Although they had the numbers, these hundreds of black men released such an icy chill that it crumbled any notion of resistance. Li Jingxin frowned. These profound heaven experts aren't normal. They're about to act, be careful. What can some weirdo profound heaven experts do? I refuse to believe there is a second freak like Zhuo Fan on this earth. Zhu Qingjian snickered and shot forth. Qu Yanhai was right behind her. Only Li Jingxin just stood there, affixed on these interlopers' movements. Look out, it's the Luo clan's ice and fire lords. The calm voice turned everyone in black armor serious. They held their curved blades ready, the blue glint on their tips indicating poison. On top of being a fourth-grade spiritual weapon, of course. Not that Zhu Qingjian had a mind to care. With a laugh, she shot a white ray from her hand. Bang, dozens of black men were encased in one huge iceberg then and there, and the subsequent explosion made sure only pieces of them were left. The black army fell back 2 steps, making Zhu Qingjian laugh harder. What did I tell you? They're only profound heaven. They're not worth a single blow. Qu Yanhai laughed as well, sucking up to his bossy lass. Lady's gaze is so sharp, seeing their bluff with one look. Unlike that scaredy-cat old Li, less than even a woman. He shot a fire dragon, resulting in an explosion that turned another batch of dozen black guys to ashes. Zhu Qingjian covered up her sweet and charming giggle. Yun Clan eased up, knowing their safety was in the hands of 3 bodyguards. They will safeguard their journey to their new haven. Li Jingxin twitched, ticked off by the happy couple, yet he just couldn't shake the feeling that these black guys were not the pushovers like they looked. In confirmation to his suspicions, the black guys watched their own teammates fall like flies, yet all they did was to be on guard. As endless crackling commenced, the 3 elders watched in horror as the bloody pieces of bodies Zhu Qingjian blew up shook. With a sinister energy signature, the pieces let out a black smoke, each black mass forming a humanoid shadow. The shadows reassembled as each of them picked up their curved blade, and just like when they arrived, they released the same creepy snicker. Lords are nothing to look at either. The shadows let out ghastly laughter while the other black men looked on from a distance. Qu Yanhai and Zhu Qingjian were startled, yet being unable to accept the situation, charged at them for another attack. It was utterly ridiculous how some profound heaven cultivators were mocking 2 8th-layer radiant stage experts. Ice and fire surged once more towards the shadows, but it merely phased through them and made a loud bang far behind them. Those shadows weren't even real to begin with. The 2 jerked back, to which the shadows cackled louder and sharper. With the blow of an eerie wind, it was now the shadows' turn to go on the offensive with their glinting curved blades. Boom, the duo sent blows all this time, but not even one was of use. They couldn't lay a finger on them. As the shadows drew closer, they shot silver lights at them, forcing the tense couple back. A moment of carelessness was enough for one of the lights to land, dissolving their clothes. It was this close to poisoning their bodies too. That only got the 2 of them even more frightened. And while they were pulling back, the shadows grew cocky with laughter and movements. Qu Yanhai and Zhu Qingjian grew grave, unable to block the shadows' advance, and there were still many more of those black men glaring over as well. Li Jingxin watched it all with a cold, trembling eye. Their cultivation method is like those pygmies' unity tactic, but not quite. The 4 scheming demons, every move matched flawlessly, in tune with each other, while these guys fought by themselves. There was no mystical art behind it to allow them to phase in and out of reality either. It ought to have the same weakness either way. Li Jingxin's eyes flashed with resolve. The power couple had had enough by the looks of it. Zhu Qingjian cursed back, "Old Li, what are you standing around for? Do something." "Ah," Zhu Qingjian cried, getting scared by a curved blade flying at her neck. Qiu Yanhai was distressed, yet he was blocked by 6 shadows himself. All he could do was watch his dear wife get skewered. Li Jingshan roared, "They have no bodies, use soul attacks." The couple woke up to this obvious truth. Of course, we're radiant stage experts while they're only in the profound heaven stage. Killing with intent may not do them in on account of their strong souls, but it should give them a pause. 2 hums later, a pulse flashed past, bam. Like a tidal wave, it flung the black men dozens of meters back. The effect perked up the two. They were finally getting somewhere with removing these creepy guys, but it also stunned them as to how these profound heaven shadows had such strong souls. The duo's powerful souls were unable to even make them pause and only push them back. Nevertheless, they could see a solution to their headaches, restoring their calm. While they were calm, the enemy was deadly calm as well, not one bit fazed about the fact that their weakness had just been found out. Fallen from among the calm black observers, one aged and hoarse voice came. The cackling shadows gathered together. As they linked, they formed a giant net floating in the sky. As more of them joined, their soul power surged. Squinting, the couple turned grave as they stepped backward. They had felt it too. The shadows' combined soul power had reached the radiant stage. Unity tactic, Li Jingshan gasped. The black men laughed in pride, a soul unity tactic to be exact, one made particularly with radiant stage experts in mind. He, get ready, attack. The shadows snickered and released a sound at Qiu Yanhai and Zhu Qingjian, who were balking under the pressure. As they pulled back, they fought back with their own souls. Much good did that do. Their soul attacks against the shadows' combined attack was like a breeze against a wall. The two panicked, sweating buckets. What's with these guys? They're way too creepy. No matter what they did, it proved to be pointless. Life and death art then. They had tried it earlier and it didn't do a damn thing. A stronger attack, but still very much physical. That left backing up more and more the only choice, leading to their increased vexation, and lead to the growing joy of the black men, cackling like victors. Whoosh, Li Jingshan flashed in front of the couple, facing the incoming shadows. "Elderly, what are you doing?" Qiu Yanhai shouted. Grinning, Li Jingshan's eyes shone. Isn't it obvious, shutting them up. With jumping eyebrows, the couple was still clueless when Li Jingshan made a sign, staring at the shadows. Humph, ignorant whelps, a Luo clan's elder isn't someone you can understand. Wraith-style third move, Necro Dragon screech, roar. Li Jingshan's roar sent the surroundings rumbling. The image of a dragon charged with claws and fangs bared, ready to tear anything to pieces. The shadows only noticed when the dragon was upon them. Boom, the explosion shook the entire mountain range and cracked the land. The shadows' perfect formation scattered like flies. They had no time to make sense of it as they blacked out. Falling to the ground, the shadows scattered. A singular strike wiped out a dozen shadows, laid to rest for good this time. It's a soul martial art, look out. The black men moved back, losing their previous cool and watching Li Jingshan with trepidation. Unlike the ice and fire lords, Li Jingshan actually posed a threat. Sticking his chin out, Li Jingshan laughed full of himself. Anyone else? The black men looked at each other and started to make tactical steps backward. Yun Clan was overjoyed. Seeing ice and fire lords at a severe disadvantage had them more than a little worried. And then came Li Jingshan, in the nick of time, dispersing the shadow net in a single strike, easing their worries. All in all, their safety was assured. As for the couple, they felt sour looking at Li Jingshan stroking his ego. With so many witnesses, they didn't look the part of elders, unlike Li Jingshan. It was a humble pie neither of them wanted to taste. "Old Li, you're really something to know even a soul martial art. How come we've never seen you using it?" Zhu Qingjian grumbled, prickled by envy. Li Jingshan scratched his nose. You don't have to be jealous. When we joined the Luo clan, Steward Zhuo gave each of us a matching art. Each of us has our own strengths. I was also enticed by that life and death art of yours, but can I train in it? Necro Dragon Screech is a sound martial art, but it is a body martial art at its core. Since you two train by combining fire and water, this art doesn't seem to fit you, does it? The two paused. He does make a fairly good point. They got over it just as fast as they had gotten jealous. "Old Li, you deal with them while we bring up the rear." Zhu Qingjian looked at the people and said, "Let's end this quickly." "No problem." Li Jingshan laughed and shot up. The black men fell back farther in fear of Li Jingshan's gaze. But a cold shout fell from the black cloud above. "Humph, ignorant whelp, you're awfully confident in your parlor tricks." Li Jingshan squinted at the sky. Something black was coming down swiftly. At a closer look, it appeared to be a pitch-black chain making rumbling sounds like lightning as it shot for Li Jingshan. The pressure it released was akin to bearing the full weight of the world on one's shoulders. Everyone's breathing faltered, their feet plunging into the dirt, and their waists bent from the mountain-like pressure. Even eighth layer of radiant stage experts like the odd couple shuddered, the ground cracking beneath their feet in all directions. As for Li Jingshan, who felt the brunt of it, had his face shudder and his clothes rustled. The wind snapped at his face as his feet also sank deeper into the earth. Shocked, Li Jingshan instantly made the connection that this man was unlike those men in black. The men in black were like ants compared to this secretive person. He was the true expert among them. The person was yet to show himself, but the power behind his first strike had put Elder Li on guard. Gnashing his teeth, he squinted at the incoming black chain and his power erupted. Black energy curled around him, ghostly dragon claw. He chose to face the chain head-on. The voice from the cloud clearly stated his surprise in Li Jingshan's course of action and praised, "Youngster is quite brave." A pity, bam, with an ear-piercing explosion, Li Jingshan's black claw tightened on the chain, yet the chain kept on going, slamming him into the ground. The earth shattered, picking up a huge cloud of dust. Yun Clan cried out, frantic in their retreat. Qiu Yanhai and Zhu Qingjian moved in front of the people to fend off the incoming shock wave. When the dust settled, everyone gasped in horror. The mighty Li Jingshan was planted in a huge 100-meter-deep hole. Pale and panting, he was even bleeding from his mouth. Most shocked was the power couple. They were more clear than anyone about Li Jingshan's power, holding their own against him only by using their combined art. Yet this powerhouse was in a sorry state after just one blow. What kind of power was that? Looking up at the black cloud, the two picked up a person drifting down while holding the black chain. He was 9 foot tall, covered in black armor and a billowing black cape. Just like those men in black, he wore a helmet as well, blocking his features yet not his outrageous aura, instilling fear in all of them, including the elders. The first thought that came to mind was the feeling of death. "Captain," the black men saluted, but instead of looking grateful to their boss for lending a hand, they reeked of fear. The captain ignored them. "The enemy this time is a sharp thorn. It is not your fault for needing me to step in." They all eased a breath, a weight off their shoulders. Their captain had outrageous demands off them. He demanded success on every mission they were sent on, which was pretty much guaranteed when this inhuman power that was their captain joined the fray. The captain had a rule, though, to not let the conceit get to their heads. He would never interfere in a mission. If he did, the mission was deemed as failure regardless of the outcome, and the men would be subjected to harsh punishment. Having experienced that appalling pain once, no one wanted to go through such torment ever again. No surprise then that their first reaction on seeing the captain step in was that of lament, but with this being a special occasion and all, the captain waived all punishments. It was also a form of recognition from the captain's part that none of them could finish this powerful enemy. Or why else would the captain step in? Bang! Li Jingshan threw the heavy chain to the ground and wiped the blood off his chest. With a jump, he was next to the power couple. The three watched their enemy with heavy silence, their fists shaking. The enemy this time was so strong, it had forced them to join hands, making them feel excited and dreadful. With a flick of his wrist, the black captain pulled back the chain and nodded at Li Jingshan. "Junior, not bad at all. You're still breathing after taking a hit, so you do have some skill after all." "Humph, arrogant punk," Li Jingshan shouted. "You may be strong, but are not in the ethereal stage yet. There's not a single peak radiant stage expert out there who can kill me in one blow." His front was tough, but his insides were quaking. That chain almost took his life. The tiniest slip would have had the chain run through him. The black captain shook his head with a smile. "Whelp, are you that ignorant or in denial? Two people may have the same cultivation, but not the same talent. That alone translates to a huge gap in power between them. Huangpu Qingshan was the prime example, and now it's your steward's turn." At merely the third layer of profound heaven stage, he took two peak radiant stage experts all-out blows. It actually reminds me of an old rival of mine. I would feel privileged if I could experience Steward Zhu's masterstroke myself. The black captain sighed at the sky, strolling down the memory lane. The three elders never let him out of sight. "Well, this has nothing to do with your Luo clan anyway. If it were up to me, I wouldn't be facing you so soon either." The black captain waved and said, "Please step aside, elders. I am taking the Yun clan. Get bent. If I just give them to you, I won't even be able to face the world with shame." Zhu Qingjian snapped, shooting for him with Qiu Yanhai fast behind. The two were on him in a blink, striking his chest with their combined power. Fire and water fusion, life and death art. Boom, with a flash of heat, a white jet shot through the black captain's chest and shot into the distance. It then enlarged into a huge glaring light. Everything was burned to a cinder. With a bang, the black chain clattered on the ground, and with the dying of the light, the power couple started panting. There was no one in front of them. The two had finished him off. The two smiled and the Yun clan cheered. Li Jingshan grinned as well, but the black men gaze made him think twice, damn it, because they were unfazed. Their confidence was justified as well. While the couple celebrated, a familiar laughter came. "Ha ha ha, is this the Luo clan's martial art? Quite impressive, I must say. Today I've truly lived and learned. It's something I have never seen in my life. I see why so many experts got turned on their side. That move might have worked on them, but now, SSS black smoke gathered in the form of a person and then a suit of armor. The black captain was back with a smile. I am neither man nor shade, but in between. The same move won't work on me. The two's hearts seized. They should have known this by now. With the black men turning into black smoke to avoid physical attacks, their captain ought to follow the same logic. The earlier move was merely a test run to see if it had any effect, and indeed it didn't. And with the captain being far stronger than his men, it went without question that he could phase in and out as well. The black men had a hard time becoming real once they turned into shadows, while the black captain could do it at will. He was a true undying monster and a pain to deal with. The couple gnashed their teeth and fell back, far too late, however. The black captain's wave brought the chain to his hand, and then it shot towards the couple. The two went flying with blood trailing from their mouths. They hit the ground hard, grievously injured. Humph, I warned you of this outcome, but since you struck first, you only have yourselves to blame. The cold eyes flashed in the darkness as the chain went for the two again. Li Jingshan covered himself in black energy and shot to intercept. Wraith-style's first move, soaring demonic dragon. Roar. With a black dragon image around him, Li Jingshan clashed with the chain, but it shattered his dragon. Li Jingshan was flung into the air and spat blood. Falling to the ground, he looked lifeless. At least he had covered for the power couple by sending the chain away from them. You too, cough. This is as far as I can help you. Li Jingshan was panting, blood seeping into the ground around him. Qiu Yanhai nodded in gratitude. Old Li, you're a true friend. Yun Clan was in tears, unknown if from fear or from the touching scene. Li Jingshan and the Ice and Fire Lords were usually at odds with each other, but when it came to fighting, neither left the other behind. The black captain paused, then his tone turned angry for the first time and he snarled, what camaraderie. Mad Dipper, since you want to save them so badly, you can die first. Whoosh, the black chain came for Li Jingshan to finish the job. Qiu Yanhai and Zhu Qingjian struggled but couldn't budge at all. Li Jingshan sighed at the black chain reflecting in his eyes. Is this how I, the great Mad Dipper, would meet my end, without even knowing who killed me? Ice and Fire Lords stared enraged, their fists clenched. But in times like these, one particularly familiar voice lifted their spirits. Yo, Spade, were you perhaps left for dead to find the Luo clan's bromance so revolting? Hum with a spatial ripple, an odd red glow shot in front of Li Jingshan before the black chain could land. The chain whistled back with a bang, deflected right back at the black captain. Squinting, the black captain heard a buzzing in his ear, and he groaned as he blocked the chain. What he didn't take into account was the monstrous power infused within the chain. His block did nothing to stop the chain from knocking his arm into his chest. Like a cliff had been smashed into him, the black captain flung backwards. With an explosion, a hill that was a mile out crumbled, filling the sky with dust. The only sign something ever happened was the deep groove in the ground leading to it. It took everyone's breath away. Everyone was very clear about Black Captain's strength. Not even 3 great Radiant stage experts could topple him. But for this dreaded man to be blown away, how terrifying would his opponent be? All eyes snapped to Li Jingshan. He was still hanging by a thread, but now a cold figure stood before him, his white hair drifting in the wind, right hand flashing an eerie red and eyes cold as ice. Luo clan's steward, soaring demonic dragon Zhuo Fan. The black men grew tense as they looked at him, their faces twisting slowly. They had all heard of Zhuo Fan's illustrious name, but seeing him was believing. What they had failed to grasp was the demonic dragon's power to push back their captain. It boggled their minds. They knew their captain better than anyone, yet Zhuo Fan had flung that monster away in one hit. How is that even possible? The black men turned to the rubble behind them with hope. Captain, SSS black smoke seeped from the rocks, reforming into a shadow. After a few more seconds, the armor took shape as well, returning back to his earlier daunting figure. The black chain flew back in his hand with a wave. Just what is that thing? Zhuo Fan's brow rose. Li Jingshan gasped. He saw Zhuo Fan calm but still advised, Steward Zhuo, watch out, he can phase in and out of reality. Normal martial arts don't work on him. The only way to fight him is with soul attacks. There is such a thing in that case. His eyes flashed and Zhuo Fan gave him a deep look and laughed all of a sudden, having everything figured out. Elder Li, you guys rest. I'll take it from here. Zhuo Fan walked on with a thin smile. The black captain did the same, dragging the black chain behind, the clanking sound announcing his enemy's eulogy. The audience never left the two out of their sights. Their very lives depended on the one who came on top among these powerhouses. You cannot lose, Captain. The black men pumped their fists. Yun Clan and Luo Clan's elders looked at Zhuo Fan's back with faith. The elders had complete trust in Zhuo Fan, having been around him for a long time. Anyone or anything that stood in this little freak's path would stop their marching. He had never lost when he was weak, so how could he lose now when he was at the peak of Tianyu's power? No one dared to blink lest they miss the two's clash. The two stopped 30 meters away from each other. Zhuo Fan sized him up and snickered. The girl's intuition sure was spot on. The other faction even sent someone like you. I thought Elder Li and the two elders would be more than enough. Ha ha ha, how naive of me. You never wanted the Yun clan to fall into someone else's hands. The future of Yun clan is crucial to all factions. It cannot be left to the Luo clan alone. The black captain gave him a cold look, flicking the chain with a trembling hand. That punch sure was savage, reminding me of an old rival of mine. Zhuo Fan curled an eyebrow, a no-brainer for him to guess who this old rival was. He mocked the black captain. Did you win or not? Shuddering, the black captain flashed with unbridled rage. His fists clenched and he spat. I lost that day, but don't think this match will be the same. That remains to be seen. Zhuo Fan snickered. Unlike him, I am far more complex, not to mention a headache to deal with. Are you that certain of victory? Ha ha ha. The black captain's hand tightened and he flung the chain towards Zhuo Fan's left side. Ladybug, see for yourself. The black chain snaked in the air and was at the left side of Zhuo Fan's face in a blink, sneaky and swift. The chain was out of reach of the right hand, fully grasping Zhuo Fan's weakness in one glance. You old fox, Zhuo Fan grinned, being mentally prepared. This guy had only seen him use the right hand once and already knew to stay clear. The attack on his left side spoke volumes of this guy's experience. Facing such a guy half-assed would give you a one-way trip to hell, and thinking that facing him even full-assed would be a pain, Zhuo Fan had to take it seriously. In any case, while the black captain knew Zhuo Fan's right arm was tough, the guy was clueless that his left arm threw a mean punch all the same. PFF, with a groan, the nimble chain landed in a dragon claw. The black captain cried, Earth Dragon Claw, he's right on. Zhuo Fan mocked him and yanked the chain. The black captain went with it, making a half circle in the air before crashing into the ground hard. The bang left another 1,000-meter-wide crater. Zhuo Fan grinned, the Yun clan was jubilant and the black men panicked. Captain? Whoosh. They didn't get to finish as the black smoke shot from the crater straight for Zhuo Fan. Li Jingshan's side was shocked. Steward Zhuo, look out. Only soul attacks work on that thing. Hee, I know. Snickering, Zhuo Fan made a sign and roared. Wraith Style's third move, Necro Dragon Screech, Purple Lightning Flare, Roar. Unlike Li Jingshan's dragon image, Zhuo Fan's dragon was melded with purple lightning. The same lightning Zhuo Fan stored in his divine eye of the void. For some odd reason, his purple lightning stock was restored when he cultivated. It was endless. How convenient that it happened just in time to deal with this pesky black captain. This was Heavenly Emperor's purple lightning we are talking about, a power above Yuan Qi, and the same one that had struck a sacred beast dead. It doesn't matter if it's soul or flesh, they'll both get skewered. With how Zhuo Fan used it in tandem with a sound martial art, this attack had turned into a literal killing move. Bam. The black smoke was poised to attack Zhuo Fan when the dragon reached him. He had yet to regain his bearings from the previous hit, and the purple dragon slammed into him next. The purple lightning pierced the black mass, drilling an excruciating pain into the skull of the black captain. Then came the constant rumbling from the impact of lightning on every part of his body, akin to explosions from within. All the audience heard was an endless cry of agony, as the black captain rammed himself left and right like a headless chicken. By the time it all came to an end, the shadow reformed, but on all fours, panting from exertion. The black men were shell-shocked. Not for the life of them could they recall when their captain was in such dire straits. Zhuo Fan snickered, Spade, now do you know the difference between me and him? Hi, everything in this world has a weakness. Don't think for a second that your phasing body will get me exhausted from using only physical attacks. Humph, I know all too well just what kind of specimen you are. It would have been another matter entirely if you were in the ethereal stage, but it just wasn't meant to be. Humph, enough with the theatrics. What can a mere spirit puppet do? Why, you know. Eyes trembling, the black captain watched Zhuo Fan like a monster. This is a secret art that was lost 5 centuries ago. How? I'm just that clever. Slanting his head, Zhuo Fan showed a cocky grin. Soul puppets are special, but not invincible. You may not have a body, but I have my own way to make sure that you'll stay dead. You showed off in my presence and you beat my men. Don't even think of escaping. Zhuo Fan cackled and 3 golden halos shone in his right eye. Divine Eye of the Void's 3rd stage, Mirage World. An unnatural space ripple spread around, and the black men and their captain saw the world twist before their very eyes. In a blink, their view was replaced with endless white light with nobody else in sight. Bewildering array, Black Captain cried, impossible, when did you set it up? Ha, that's private information. Zhuo Fan faded in with a twisted smile. Spade, turning into a spirit puppet, gave you a brilliant escape route. A spirit puppet can fade in and out of reality, neither man nor shade. While elusive, at the same time you don't have a body. Your soul has nowhere to hide, making it easy to just poof you out of existence. One other thing, your soul sense is 100 times more acute than a normal person. An advantage, yes, but not when it comes to experiencing pain. Zhuo Fan punctuated by stabbing the horrified Black Captain with a blade. Ah. A wail like no other echoed. Black Captain was soaked in sweat and crumbled to his knees. His eyes were full of fear towards Zhuo Fan. Clang, Zhuo Fan had another blade flash in his hand and casually went for his back this time. The Black Captain jumped back. Just when he thought he was in the clear, the pain came and so did the shrieks. Looking back, he saw a bright longsword stuck in his back, the same one Zhuo Fan had. Ha ha ha, try not to dodge. You'll only waste your energy. With a wide grin, Zhuo Fan said, "Didn't I tell you, having 100 times more acute soul sense is not all it's cracked up to be, especially when it comes to pain." Props for figuring out this is an illusion, but in here what's real and fake have been switched. And guys like you, who use phasing as an escape, will find themselves much weaker than anyone else, not to mention the time here is slower. I may have taken my sweet time poking you twice, but outside it hasn't been a second. We've got all the time in the world to enjoy. Ha ha ha, here everything's an illusion, while outside the pain is real. But the moment you cave in is the second you will die. Zhuo Fan sported a twisted grin and flicked 4 blades into Black Captain's chest, getting him acquainted with a world of pain. This was Zhuo Fan's illusion, his world. In this world he made the rules. In here he was God. The Black Captain was unstoppable outside, while in this illusion he was being toyed around like a powerless doll. And when the pain proved to be too much for his mind to handle, his soul would just fly away. This was Divine Eye of the Void's 3rd stage, Mirage World, a place where Zhuo Fan created and controlled everything. This breakthrough in Divine Eye of the Void came somewhat fast, having lacked the needed soul power to achieve it. But through the refinement of the Sea Phantom wings, the strange power of the wings resonated with Mirage World, leading up to a wonderful coincidence. This also happened to be the straw that broke the back of the pesky Black Captain and his cronies. Outside the illusion, wails echoed out, jerking the people from shock as they blinked at the prideful shadow. Zhuo Fan was just standing there as well, facing the previously outstanding black men as they rolled on the ground shouting in agony, like they are getting friggin' tortured. Just how big a gap in strength is there? Steward Zhuo stays true to his reputation as a monster. The elders were dumbstruck. They knew Zhuo Fan was awesome, but this was a bit outrageous. He flipped the tables with just a glare, yet the glare still wasn't over and the enemies writhed in pain. The trio looked at each other and sighed. They were Luo clan's elders, Zhuo Fan's backup, but the kid had outgrown them, entering a totally new realm. Gazing at the high-end mighty white-haired figure, the three sighed. The little freak is so fast, not even our ass-kissing can catch up. How would they know that the Mirage World was sucking Zhuo Fan off soul power? He may look cool standing there, his 3 golden halos flashing in the right eye, sending the enemies into a world of hurt. But his brow was soaked, his mind raving. These damn rotten bastards can still take it. I've got 36 zero blades poked into them, yet they just won't die. This must be the fruit of the torturous training they do each day to build such grit. PFF. Just as he finished that thought, a black man held his head with a groan, rolled around 100 times on the ground, kicked his legs at some point, and then just laid there. In the real world, black smoke drifted out of armor. The gear clattered to the floor, empty. Zhuo Fan grinned and spat. It's about time. These spirit puppets are at their limit. A case in point, after the first shadow keeled over, a second and third were bound to collapse, leaving behind empty armor. Some didn't even get to fall, their souls gone like the wind in mid-fall. Zhuo Fan eased his breath. The fewer they were, the lesser the strain on his soul. It didn't take long for the hundreds of black men to sputter and smoke, leaving the captain, still hugging his head with a clenched jaw. Zhuo Fan snorted with a wet brow. His soul was reaching his limit, his vision blurred. But he hung on holding the black captain in the Mirage World. Just a little more and he's done for. Zhuo Fan smiled inside, his knuckles white. Whoosh, a pebble shot for Zhuo Fan at breakneck speed. So small yet containing the power of a mountain, forcing Zhuo Fan to take a pause. Yet Zhuo Fan had 2 aces with him, his beastly fists. Any one of which could deal with such a feeble threat. His right hand moved and caught the pebble, but it proved to be enough of a distraction for the Mirage World to break. The black captain sensed the real world and jumped through the crack. Steward Zhuo, the guy's escaping, Li Jingshan shouted. Zhuo Fan's right eye flashed with 2 golden halos. Divine Eye of the Void's 2nd stage, Void Annihilation, whoosh, a spatial ripple shot for the captain. He turned into smoke trying to dodge, but when Void Annihilation passed through him, he felt an agony like never before. Even being a spirit puppet, he couldn't avoid the effects of space cracking. His soul was jolted and wounds laced his mind. The captain cursed inside, what kind of a freak is he? He has so many fancy and powerful tricks not even that guy can match. Boom. Void annihilation ran through 3 mountains before taking to the sky. Zhuo Fan was about to send another one. Black Captain was too scared to take any more blows like that and turned into black smoke, drifting among the Yun clan. Zhuo Fan held back lest he harmed innocents. The Black Captain laughed, having found his window, flying closer to the people. The crowd shrieked as he trapped a 19-year-old kid in his smoke and fled. "Help me," the youth peed in fright, shouting his lungs out for help. Zhuo Fan frowned. "Spade, let him go. Yun clan is under Luo clan's protection. Harm him and we will become mortal enemies." "Humph, do you take me for a fool?" "You'll kill me regardless," the Black Captain shouted. "Zhuo Fan, you got me this time, but we will meet again. See you around." The Black Captain turned into a black wind and wrapped tighter around the wailing youth. He was gone the next second. Yun clan watched in worry while Zhuo Fan stomped. He looked positively annoyed, except for that vague quirk on his face. The Black Captain was long gone, yet Zhuo Fan looked at the clouds still. Yun clan was touched by his desolate back. "Steward Zhu is working so hard for us. He is so heartbroken at the loss of one child." Having rested all this time, Li Jingshan was feeling better. He propped his weak body up and sighed. "Steward Zhu, you don't have to blame yourself. He only got one man." "Claptrap, who's blaming himself here?" Zhuo Fan snorted. "The kid is already an adult, yet he hasn't even awakened his blood. A waste, it makes no difference if he's gone. But we are here to look good for the Yun clan, so we can't harm their people. That sadness and self-blame routine is there to make them respect us more. Yun clan will be far more willing to follow us now." Li Jingshan's face twitched and he nodded. "Steward Zhu is Steward Zhu. He will never change. He is clearer than anyone about what to do for his own interests." "My apologies, everyone. I could not protect you all and let that fiend take someone. I am ashamed," Zhuo Fan gasped and said in a heartbroken tone, watching them with a painful look. Li Jingshan next to him felt his face jump around from all the twitching. For the sake of Luo clan's future, Steward Zhu has curbed his mean streak to win their hearts. Or that Black Captain would never have gotten away even with a hostage. Yun clan bowed in gratitude. "Steward Zhu, please, you don't have to say it. If not for you, all of Yun clan would have ended in misfortune. You have no reason to feel remorse. It should be us thanking you instead. But what we don't understand is what could have happened for us, who look after the people, to incur such a disaster." The Yun clan shook their heads. Zhuo Fan hid a snicker, bearing only his laments. "The world is fraught with evil. Even if you are innocent, the tallest tree always gets the wind. Yun clan is a special clan that everyone has their eyes on. Now more than ever, with the imperial capital saturated with scums of society, many clans are coveting the Yun clan." Startled, the Yun clan reflected on these words, then sighed with remorse. They knew now that it was their bloodline that had brought this calamity, who didn't want to proclaim themselves king, who didn't want to see fate to act by the heavens' will. But they had the imperial family's protection over the last millennium to curb these thoughts. And when all the top dogs gathered in the imperial capital, they could feel the noose tightening on their throats. It started with clan head Yun Xuanji, a show of the culprit's cruelty and savagery. They did not know who did it, but one thing was clear: staying put would have been obliteration. Clueless as they were, the herald of their calamity was the one in front of them, the demon-turned-savior, Steward Zhu. Yun Xuanji ended up dead because he had forsaken his neutral ground and exceeded his standing. It had nothing to do with the rest of the clan. It was actually Zhuo Fan who incited fear in them, coercing them to flee into his asylum. Yun clan was made up of simple people who were not sharp enough to guess Zhuo Fan's multi-layered machinations. So seeing that Yun Xuanji trusted him, they did the same and fled. But who was the Yun clan? They literally birthed the high priest every generation. They guided the development of the nation and its policies. And now that they had run away with Zhuo Fan, who the hell would answer all those riddles and conundrums? Zhuo Fan had just stolen their baby from right under their nose. Hence, as a result, black shadows rained from the sky. All they wanted to do was to guide the sheep back in their pen. But with how their savage act worked only to stoke the dread in Yun clan, and Zhuo Fan's timely arrival had saved their future, it only pushed Yun clan closer to the Luo clan. Snickering in his mind, Zhuo Fan put on a particularly heavy look. "People, be at ease. As long as Luo clan stands, for the sake of my friendship with Sir Yun Xuanji, I will definitely take you to the safety of Wingay City. That is where you will never have to worry again. Thank you, Steward Zhu, for saving us and for everything. We will never forget this." The Yun clan bowed deeply. Zhuo Fan waved them off, his grin growing so much that it threatened to split his skull. "Please, you don't have to do that. You can trust in my clan. My only wish is that you remain in our domain, ha ha ha." Through promises, vague threats, and nudges, Yun clan had become his die-hard lackey. As if the only one in the whole wide world to save them from doom would ever be Luo clan. However, among those who wanted the Yun clan for themselves, Zhuo Fan was the first to act, stealing them from the imperial family's jaws. After a few more pleasantries, Zhuo Fan took out a vial of recovery pills for the elders. It took them 6 hours to stabilize their wounds. Zhuo Fan was in no rush to return. He'd only leave when the elders were at least in their peak state. "Steward Zhuo, I heard you call them spirit puppets. What are they?" Li Jingshan inquired. Zhuo Fan derided, "A bunch of sorry-ass, lame-ass losers. No one would willingly become a spirit puppet unless forced into a corner." The power couple frowned, looking at him all serious. "We all know that only by reaching the ethereal stage can one's mind and soul fuse, allowing them to shed their bodies. Even if the body crumbles, you can just possess another." The three nodded. "However, what do you think will happen if the body dies before reaching the ethereal stage and the soul lingers? Will it still survive?" Zhuo Fan said. The three shook their heads. "The soul can last for 100 days at most, then dies." Li Jingshan's firm answer came. Zhuo Fan nodded. "It would be fine if it were. But the demonic path has a secret art allowing experts beneath the ethereal stage to wander around as their souls, surviving on the spiritual energy of the world. Hence the name Spirit Puppets." The three sharpened their ears, hanging onto every word. "The name says it all. They are puppets of the spirit world. Once a should-be-dead person is refined into a spirit puppet, to say nothing of their soul never growing stronger, he would roam the world as neither man nor shade. A zombie pretty much sums it up. Unless one is consumed by revenge and hatred, one would rather die than choose such a pitiful existence. It is a downright disgrace. On top of that, a spirit puppet has to consume souls to maintain their yuan qi, a truly vile secret art. It hardly matters if they meet me, a demonic cultivator, but stumble upon a righteous cultivator, and those overzealous warriors of righteousness would chase them to the ends of the earth. It is part of their job description and also earns them merit. It does wonders for their mentality, tempering their hearts." The three blinked in understanding. Zhu Qingjian then asked, "Something is off here. Steward Zhuo, you just said that those filled with immense regret and hatred would turn into spirit puppets, but we just faced hundreds of them. There's no way for there to be so many warriors knowledgeable of this art and be so consumed with revenge. It's too much of a coincidence. Ha ha ha, those mass-produced goods aren't included." Zhuo Fan cackled. "The other side is amassing a secret army, forcing cultivators into becoming spirit puppets." To Tianyu, who has never seen a shadow of an ethereal stage expert, and with so few martial arts focused on the soul, spirit puppets would be a headache to face. It is a blessing in disguise that they are so hard to make. Not anyone can become one. The slightest slip-up and it'd be the end. Elder Lei, you know how the kid's old Peng is training in the wraith art have a low success rate. Well, this one is even lower, ha ha ha. Li Jingshan was stunned. Ever since joining the Luo clan, Captain Peng and he had received close training in the same art. Of course he knew about the young guard's Luo clan was rearing as well. For one guy to come out of a batch of 100 was already promising. But with the spirit puppet's chance of being created even lower, isn't it the same as Zhuo Fan wiping out 100,000-strong army of theirs by killing those hundreds? Li Jingshan had a sour taste in his mouth. Zhuo Fan laughed, seeing through him. "You don't have to worry, they have plenty more where that came from, ha ha ha. But Steward Zhuo, you have no trouble dealing with them while we are hopeless." "Teach us how." Zhu Qingjian noticed Zhuo Fan's casual attitude and cutely said. The others looked on with hope. It was tough to say if it was from their incapability to deal with spirit puppets or from the need to learn more of Zhuo Fan's secrets. Sticking so close to Zhuo Fan for so long had taught them that his bag of tricks ran deep, in both quality and number, far better than the entire Tianyu could ever provide. Nabbing one or two of them was the greatest fortune the trio could ever hope for. This was one of the reasons these experts were so casual about staying with Luo clan. To say nothing of a martial fanatic like Li Jingshan, who practically lived for power. With how Zhuo Fan had had his head deep in official matters and being lazy on top, he felt disinclined to teach them. Today was the best chance to squeeze something out of him, and they weren't about to miss it. Glancing at them, Zhuo Fan smiled. "No need. Spirit puppets are merely at the 3rd level. Low-level spirit puppets are soul-based. No different from a wraith. With your strong, radiant stage strength, your intent is enough to destroy them. Mid-level spirit puppets can enter weapons or armor, making them their vessels and using them to somewhat resist soul attacks. Like those black men, you can't one-shot them, but giving them a deep wound is still easy. The crucial thing is the Black Captain, a peak-level spirit puppet. He can phase in and out, with a soul so strong that only a specialized martial art can defeat him." The three bobbed their heads like eager children. "I reckon strong guys like him are limited to just him, and since I've harmed him, he won't be showing his face anytime soon. You can rest easy." Zhuo Fan waved his hand. The three got his gist and sank into depression. "The kid doesn't want to teach us." Zhu Qingjian pouted, shaking Zhu Fan's hand in a bratty voice. Steward Zhu, we can forget about these crotchety geezers, but what about little old me and my precious body? Who am I to blame if that miscreant scars it? If you are that scared of having your secret licked, sister will visit you in the dead of night. Will you teach me then? Zhu Fan's face twitched at Zhu Qingjian's rosy cheeks. Sister Zhu, please have a modicum of dignity and act your age. Your man is right behind you. He, Steward Zhu, why are you being so testy? We're all on the same side, I don't mind. If you still find it lacking, I can join you as well. So will I. Qiu Yanhai exposed a disgraceful grin, followed by Li Jingshan's shout. Zhu Fan almost had a case of the technicolor yawn, waving all over the place. Fine, I'll take it as my loss. I'll teach you something, a profound ranked martial art focused on souls, finger of death. Black smoke floated by a waterfall in the mountains. It reformed into the crooked shape of the black captain as he gasped for life. He was still holding onto the kid, who was now unconscious. Ignoring the hostage, he took a gulp from the stream. With a crack like that of a gear turning, the waterfall slowly came to a stop. The pond had a vortex in the middle, draining the icy water to reveal the muddy ground and a stone gate 10 meters below. Black Captain jumped in with the kid and pushed on some ostensibly random stone for the gate to rumble open. The gate closed behind him as he entered, with the sky-high waterfall resuming its flow and the pond filling back up again. The captain hobbled through the pitch-black twisting path. Even with all the jolting, the kid never woke up. A faint candle light sprung in the distance and the captain hesitated, but then walked on even faster. In the glum room, around 60 square meters in size, skipping a torturer's tools of the trade being laid around, a golden sheet ran through the center, dividing the room in two. Plop. The black captain threw the hostage down and knelt before the cloth. I have failed you and await my sentence. You failed, the aged voice from beyond carried shock, for even you to fail. Sighed, the sighing black captain was lost for words as well. His eyes dimmed and he collapsed. The voice came again, and you're also wounded. Whoosh, a black flash reached the black captain before the aged voice could, giving the captain a pill. When his breathing evened, the man with a bamboo hat eased a breath and said at the curtain, Please relax, sir. Senior has sustained heavy injuries and only needs time to heal. What heavy injuries? The old man was astounded. Just who is capable of harming you to such an extent? Not even Gu Santong could do this. The man behind the veil was quite aware of Black Captain's specialty of phase in and out. He couldn't deal with Gu Santong, but that little freak's ridiculous strong arm could do nothing just as well. There's actually another person in Tianyu that can rout him besides Gu Santong. The Black Captain sighed, it's Zhu Fan. He has that kind of skill, and more to spare. Even I had to step in but played right into his hand. The captain sounded morose. That brat is a deadly combination of an extended range of skills and ample experience. I used to think my secret art was lost 5 centuries ago, that no one in Tianyu knew of it. But he saw through me with a glance and then toyed with me. I only escaped with my life by taking one of the Yun clan's members hostage. The captain sighed, his eyes consumed by dread. He'd been running amok across Tianyu for centuries, yet a pipsqueak like Zhuo Fan showed up, robbing him of all repute and turning him into a bottom feeder. Zhuo Fan is an even worse headache than Gu Santong. The captain sighed. Gu Santong is all brawn but does have weaknesses. While Zhuo Fan not only has Gu Santong's savage power, I couldn't find any weak spots either. It's the first time I've met with such an opponent. The man in the bamboo hat nodded. Senior is correct. Without having seen him for myself, I would have never taken Zhuo Fan to have such unbridled strength. All of the senior's attempts were foiled. He then used some unknown art to trap Senior and almost cost him his life. Knowing my limits, my only hope was to make a distraction. I'm glad to know it helped free Senior. So it was you who helped me. I wondered why his focus slipped. This gratitude I will surely return. The black captain cupped his hands at the bamboo hat guy, who only shook his head. He had only added that little tidbit to get some credit. It's fine, now that you know I did my part. Just remember me next time you split fees. As for revenge and whatnot, it was the farthest thing from his mind. The veil fell quiet for a long time before the voice returned. The others, Black Captain sighed, dead. By your hand, by Zhuo Fan's. Black Captain squinted and spat. He is truly savage, killing them on the spot and saving me the trouble. He didn't do it for you. It is a warning, he doesn't want a falling out and went easy on us. The voice behind the veil came. The two were clueless and the voice explained, with Zhuo Fan's guile, it would be easy for him to track you down. Since he wasted all of them, it proves that these men had no use to him, that he knows all too well who we are but does not want to expose us. What? The two were dumbfounded. The veil flew aside and the emperor in his golden dragon garment walked out, not just him. After the high priest died, Zhu Changfeng and Leng Wucheng soon casted their suspicions on us. Why else would they support each other in court today when I wanted to deal with the regent estate and Zhuo Fan in one move? They feared I would swallow them both. I underestimated you, Zhuo Fan. Your mind is sharp, your nature adaptable. Like water under the bridge, you set it all aside, uniting with your foes. You are a man with perspective. The emperor's cold laughter came. Hidden within was a thick trace of bloodthirst. The bamboo hat fell and revealed the monochrome chess sage, Sima Hui. Sima Hui looked hard at the emperor. Your majesty, what do we do about Zhuo Fan taking Yun clan to Wingay City? The Shadow Guard's first detachment was wiped out and Senior is heavily damaged. How do we stop Zhuo Fan and the Luo clan's 3 elders? That is the source of my anger. The emperor flicked his sleeve. I just can't make anything of Yun Xuanji's decision of relinquishing 1,000-year-old neutrality by siding with the Luo clan, who he has had no relation to speak of. And for what for Zhuo Fan? I thought I showed my forbearance when I closed my eyes to him reading Huangpu Qingshan's fate, because I knew the throne is 3 parts fate, 7 parts hard work. I am a true celestial dragon, the son of heaven. I don't fear the likes of Huangpu Qingshan coming to take my rightful place. Yet he had sided with Zhuo Fan, and what did Zhuo Fan do? The man had just died, and his first order of business was to take the Yun clan away from my grasp. A selfish prick for whom the thought of giving a funeral never even crossed the mind. How can he trust? Cough, the emperor's ravings stopped in a coughing fit. Sima Hui took a hanky and tended to the emperor. When he took it back, there was blood on it. Your Majesty, Sima Hui cried. The emperor waved, it's fine. I can reign in Tianyu long enough to leave a successor. The emperor took a deep breath to calm himself. Shadow King, you are one of the 4 pillars of my absolute trust and the most secretive being in this world. Everyone who has ever met you has long since died. With one exception, Zhuo Fan, fate, it seems, isn't reliable but can't be thrown aside either. The kid is your bane, so make sure to stay as far away as possible. But Your Majesty, Shadow King complained. The emperor waved. Zhuo Fan is a snake with outrageous power. The only way to get rid of him is by turning him into a beacon in all the chaos. Sigh, now all rests on my planning. I only wanted to raise a tiger to tear into those savage beasts and strengthen my position. Yet instead I've reared a dragon, and worst of all, a dragon I can't control. Zhuo Fan, ha ha ha. He is a true combination of Gu Santong and Zhu Chengfeng. He is the greatest plague on my mind. The emperor sighed, a glint flashing deep in his eyes. Shadow King and Sima Hui nodded in the end. Zhuo Fan's power and threat left all of them coming empty-handed. Was one of the 3 minds of Tianyu, devious in ploys and tricks that easy to topple, was someone with hands as tough as Gu Santong's, equipped with crazy skills to make even Shadow King dumbstruck, going to keel over just like that. Someone well-rounded like Zhuo Fan, versed in brawn and brain, left all his enemies feeling they were chewing a rock. The emperor showed worry and turned to the unconscious Yun clan member. Bring out the other eye and see if it holds. Understood. Shadow King lifted the kid up and his other hand flashed, revealing a bloody eye. It was now that the kid decided to join the party, looking at the 3 in panic. Who are you? What are you doing? Humph, we're just giving you the opportunity to become the new high priest. Shadow King snickered as his closing hand reflected in the eye of the distraught youth before he gouged it out. Ah, the wailing and pain commenced, yet the kid was unable to move an inch. Shadow King then placed the other eye inside the kid's socket and forced the wound to heal. Blood stopped leaking and the new eye fused with its new host. The trio nodded at the handiwork. Their joy was short-lived as the youth howled like a banshee. Under the trio's shuddering eyes, the kid thrashed all over. His new eye turned into a black sphere. It released a black energy that infected his body. In a flash, the kid became black as night and crumbled to ashes along with the eye. Like I thought, eaten away by the mystical eye. The outcome came at no surprise for the emperor, but that didn't mean he accepted it. Frowning, he sighed, Yun Xuanji's mystical eyes can't be grafted into others, leading to the host being eaten from within. But to think that it won't work even on his people. The Yun clan will have to first awaken their blood to bear these mystical eyes. Nodding, Sima Hui sighed, Your Majesty, it makes sense. Yun clan wouldn't have survived for so long if anyone could use them. Everyone would have been scrambling for their eyes otherwise. The emperor nodded, quite so, but that only leaves Holy Maiden Yun Shuang as a reader of fate, and she is now with the Luo clan. Your Majesty, you are the one and uncontested ruler on this earth, a true dragon descended on earth. As she belongs to the Yun clan, she will one day fall into your hand. Sima Hui bowed. The emperor paused in thought and said, if only. Meanwhile, Zhuo Fan looked after the elders' wounds while also teaching them the finger of death. After 10 days under his careful guidance, the 3 recovered and were on the road again. While he backtracked to the Regent of Posterity's compound, Wu Zhuo Fan flashed inside the manor, finding with his sole sense that all were accounted for and safe. No one used my absence to cause a scene at Luo clan while I was out helping the Yun clan. He knew all too well that a delicate balance was in play and that no player wanted it askew. It was also the most peaceful period. Steward Zhuo Fan turned his head at the charming voice, finding Yun Shuang running to him. Frowning, Zhuo Fan saw her distraught and asked, "Miss Shuinger, what is it?" Yun Shuang's bit her lip, stammering, "Steward Zhuo, you already know who killed grandfather, don't you?" Quivering on hearing this, Zhuo Fan held her gaze. "Who told you that? It doesn't matter. What matters is that you do." Yun Shuang's gaze was set, her tone firm. Zhuo Fan ignored her and pondered before bursting. "Ha ha ha, I get it now. It must be that pair of old coots giving me a hard time. Humph, they don't want to stick their neck out, so you fake innocence here, is it? Your time will come, that I promise." Zhuo Fan knew on the spot that Zhu Chengfeng and Leng Wucheng had a hand in this. They both knew Zhuo Fan wanted the Yun clan and Yun Shuang, yet they nudged her into demanding an answer from him. If he refused, Yun Shuang would be cross with him. It might even drive her to regent a state or prime minister. If he told her the truth, Luo clan would become the first to clash with the imperial family, the pioneer to throw all this balance out of the window. He was at an impasse. "Steward Zhu, you actually do know, don't you?" Yun Shuang guessed as much from his tone. "Then tell me." "Why should I?" Zhuo Fan cut her off. "Your clan is a target that I am willing to protect. In layman's terms, you owe me, not the other way around. What gives you the right to question me? To tell you everything?" Humph, hysterical. Zhuo Fan snorted and left. Yun Shuang rushed to block his way, begging, "Steward Zhu, what will it take to tell me?" Zhuo Fan stared down those hopeful big eyes of hers. He spoke after a pause. "You really want to know?" Yun Shuang nodded, her gaze steeled. Grinning, Zhuo Fan leaned in her ear, his breath tickling and her face aflame. "It will depend on your behavior. I have no reason to tell anything to someone who isn't with me." Yun Shuang shuddered, then watched him incredulously and flushed with red-hot cheeks from humiliation. "So this is who you are, Steward Zhuo, someone who preys on others' weaknesses." Biting her lip, Yun Shuang teared up. Zhuo Fan snickered. "You got that right. I am no goody two-shoes. Besides preying on others, my style includes, but is not limited to, robbing someone blind, using their plight, and kicking them when they're down. So, do you accept it?" Zhuo Fan looked like the big bad wolf out on the prowl for harmless little lambs. Yun Shuang's biting of her lips drew blood, her hands tense from the inner conflict. She sighed, "Steward Zhuo, give me time to think." "Sure, take all the time in the world. I'm in no hurry." Zhuo Fan's lazy tone came, cocksure everything was at his fingertips. Yun Shuang glared and stormed away. Zhuo Fan noticed her eyes just before leaving, filled with rage, and scratched his head. "Well, that's odd. Didn't I just tell her to watch the stars, to be my advisor? What's so hard about that? She must be dead set on ironing out all my crookedness. Then she'll help me. But have you ever heard of a kind demonic emperor?" Humph, Zhuo Fan grinned on his way to Luo Yunhai. "It's been too long since I gave the future clan head a lesson. How long will it take to shape him up? Well, it's not like I have anything better to do, so I might as well teach him some more. Not like I can leave the clan's fate in the hands of an ignorant kid. I'll never know rest." He got to the region of Prosperity's room, only to find it stacked with gifts. Luo Yuncheng and Princess Yangning were there too, chatting away. "Brother Zhu, you're back," Luo Yunhai beamed. Luo Yuncheng giggled, while Yangning raised an eyebrow. "Zhu Fan, took you long enough. What could have kept the great steward away for so long anyway? Luo clan was swamped with work the past few days, and in your absence, I had to go out of my way to help you all. Don't just stand there, hurry up and thank me." Zhu Fan's face twitched. "Setting my matters aside, Princess Yangning, what's a lass like you doing by still coming around here? Aren't you supposed to be grounded?" He knew the emperor had grounded the princess to her room before the court debacle, so what was she doing back here after only a few days? Those palace guards are too lazy. "Pa," Yangning slapped the table, impertinent. "How dare you address the princess in such an uncouth way like lass? Do you find your head too heavy to bear?" Zhu Fan only gave her a roll of the eyes. Yangning was enraged, while also even more intrigued. "Where does a mere steward get this kind of gall from?" Luo Yuncheng shook her head, trying to mediate. "Sister Yangning, calm down. That's how Zhu Fan is. No one can change him. If you don't like him, you can just avoid him." "How can I? Why else do I hear?" Yangning blurted. She blushed at her slip, making up an excuse on the spot. "I mean, my patience knows no bounds. How can I stoop to his level?" Luo Yuncheng saw through her in an instant. "Humph, you think I don't know your thoughts? You even have that look in your eyes. Why is it that the hate and anger in your gaze looks dangerously close to flirting?" Not that Zhu Fan cared, staring the princess down. "Princess Yangning, am I to assume that you've sneaked out again?" "No way, I walked out the front gate." Sticking out her fairly downsized chest, Yangning said, "Also, the imperial father is holding his centennial jubilee. I have earned my imperial father's accord to search for a proper gift." I fear that it is all too sudden for you, so I will help you prepare as well. See how much I care for you." Princess Yangning smiled at Zhuo Fan, fishing for compliments. Zhuo Fan couldn't care less, nodding by instinct alone as he made his way away from her. The blank look of indifference dimmed the princess's enthusiasm as well, her tone becoming sour and biting. "Yuncheng, is this how you teach your servant? He's like a popinjay, ha ha ha, forgive me sister, he doesn't know any better, you can just ignore him." Luo Yuncheng consoled her while dancing inside. This princess has set herself up for disappointment. Zhuo Fan has never bothered with her. She already had enough rivals and could surely do without any extras. Luo Yunhai glanced at the girls and said coolly, "If brother Zhu was like you family stewards, would you be flirting with him and chasing him all day long? Hey, who's chasing whom here? Who's flirting?" The two girls snapped at the same time. Luo Yunhai just shook his head. "I am doing the chasing and flirting, all right. Brother Zhu must have come for me, so I'll be going now." Luo Yunhai chuckled away. Leaving two tomatoes behind, sunk in awkward silence. At one point they glanced at the door with admiration for Luo Yunhai. He could go to Zhuo Fan whenever, while they had to find an excuse to maintain their prim and proper reputation. In the gardens of the compound, Luo Yunhai briskly came to an already waiting Zhuo Fan. Zhuo Fan grinned at the kid. "Good, your sight is improving. You knew I came for you." "Of course. Besides, I've been around brother Zhu for so long that we are like brothers. He. Luo Yunhai scratched his nose. Zhuo Fan nodded, hooking his finger. "Come then, let me see your progress." A fire was lit under Luo Yunhai's rear as he spurred on with purpose and threw a punch at Zhuo Fan. Bang punches flew everywhere with power and speed. While Zhuo Fan returned some, he also preached, "A fight is not just about power but brains as well. Look for an opening. If there's an opening, seize it. If not, make one. Avail yourself to their weaknesses, avoid their strengths, and lure them into a false sense of security before you spring your trap to crush them." Zhuo Fan had taught Luo Yunhai well into the night when the moon was up and the stars were shining. For Zhuo Fan, it was all a light warm-up, while Luo Yunhai, a bone-tempering cultivator facing such a monster, was now sprawled on the ground gasping for air. He was burnt out like a toad croaking its last. "Brother Zhu, you were quite free today to teach me for so long," Luo Yunhai shouted, soaked in sweat. Zhuo Fan sighed at the starry sky. 3 years, only one has passed and the stalemate is already stirring. "You'll be hard-pressed to find a quieter time like this afterwards, ha ha ha." Zhuo Fan shook his head, patting Luo Yunhai's head before going to his room. The thought of leaving again soon left him bleak. Luo Yunhai gazed at the prideful back. He sensed something and picked himself up to go find Luo Yuncheng. Creak. Zhuo Fan entered his room and sighed. He frowned, having smelled something off about his chambers. Scanning the room, he arrived at the bed with something squirming beneath the covers. "Who's there?" Zhuo Fan said. The squirming thing got squirmier. Zhuo Fan flicked the bedding off, but the squirmy thing left him speechless. The fair skin of a tight body, covered in thin red silk that could fly away at a simple breeze, was right there for the taking. The owner of such a work of art had her eyes closed shut and teeth clenched while she was shivering and in silent tears. "Miss Schuinger," blinking, Zhuo Fan swallowed dryly. "What are you doing in my bed, looking like this no less?" His voice trailed off, his shifty eyes gawking in all her splendor. Yun Shuang blushed harder and shouted, "Isn't this what a beast like you wanted? I only hope you will keep your promise once you have had your way with my body." Schuinger, I think you may have slightly taken this the wrong way. When have I asked this of you?" Zhuo Fan's brain turned to mush, not that his sly eyes ever stopped soaking up the view. Yun Shuang was mortified. Is this how he acts? He got what he wanted and now plays the gentleman, like she was to blame for coming into his bed and he was honest to God. Yun Shuang snapped, "Zhuo Fan, are you mocking me? You clearly said to be with you and now you deny it. What am I to understand?" Zhuo Fan finally figured it out and waved his hands around. "A total misunderstanding. I never meant it in this way. I only wanted you to be on my side, to look into fate, to be my advisor, and not to preach me about growing a conscience or becoming goody-goody. That's all, but for you to jump to the conclusion that I wanted you to make such sacrifices. What was I saying again? Where was I?" Zhuo Fan scratched his head. Yun Shuang snapped her eyes open, buried her head deeper from shame and cried. Her mind took a shortcut to the facts, leaving her to do such an embarrassing act. Zhuo Fan panicked. The cool him was now lost as to what to do with a crying lady, so he took his clothes and covered the lithe figure. A sudden bang on his door forced it open, and a crowd stormed in with Luo Yunhai in front, laughing. "Brother Zhu, me and sister talked to Captain Pang and heard today is your birthday. Come, let's go to your party." Luo Yunhai's eyes landed on the bed. He gave an awkward chuckle and scratched his head. I see you had your own bit of fun already. Then we won't bother you, he. Carry on, what won't bother? Zhuo Fan, explain yourself." Luo Yuncheng turned from happiness to anger at the drop of the hat after gazing on the bed, pointing at the squirmy thing under Zhuo Fan's clothes. Who's she? Where did she come from? Glimpsing at the fine white skin of the exposed legs, Luo Yuncheng was incensed. This dense guy at least has good taste. The girl under there must be a doll. Zhuo Fan shrugged, having no explanation pop into his head. Can you guys step outside for now? Hi, how can we? This is a high-quality class act, catching Steward Zhu in the act. We just gotta make it memorable. Sly Demon always looked for trouble. Then the violent demon cuffed him, a load of tripe. Steward Zhu is the perfect stud muffin, single too. He is a perfect catch any woman would swoon over. The other pygmies bobbed their heads sagely. Zhuo Fan's face sank, glaring at the four. The SHTS are only making it worse. The one who was the real troublemaker here was in fact the princess. Others, for better or worse, were aware of saving his skin, merely wagging their tongues, while Her Highness took 2 steps forward and yanked the shirt off. Let's see who you are and if you're worthy of our Grand Steward Zhuo. Yun Shuang curled up with a cry, this act filling her with shame for being seen like this. Zhuo Fan's right eye flashed golden. Divine Eye of the Void's first stage shift. Yun Shuang and Zhuo Fan were gone the next second, leaving the audience puzzled and sighing. They ran away. We gotta admit, Zhuo Fan's trick sure is useful in cases like these. Luo Yunhai couldn't stop laughing inside. He had everyone gather around to ease Zhuo Fan's loneliness. Otherwise, this classic act would never have happened. One thing was certain though, they never figured out who was beneath those clothes. In a pitch-black forest, Zhuo Fan stood in a clearing watching the expansive night sky. A rustle came, and a clothed Yun Shuang came out of the tree line. Her face was still red hot in fact, whenever she glanced at him. Zhuo Fan only looked at the night sky, giving her the cold shoulder. Like I said, I want your unconditional support. We are a team, you are one of my people. Your grandfather's business is my business. Or the Yun clan's retreat to Wingay's city would have been harder. I admire your grandfather's virtue. Now forget about the matters in the capital. They no longer concern you. Zhuo Fan's cold tone came. Yun Shuang watched his lofty figure, stalwart and imposing, and calmed down. She looked at the sky and said, Vile dragon is coming. Vile dragon? Zhuo Fan pondered. I recall Yun Xuanji telling me about this. They're the Quanrong. Are the Quanrong invading? Zhuo Fan laughed inside and nodded. Great, you are now on my side. Yun Shuang smiled and nodded. Palace, the emperor sat dignified in his dragon throne. His servants at the side and the officials down below were split on 2 sides, giving a shallow bow. Prime Minister Zhu Chengfeng was head of policies, while Marshal Dugu Jianshan was in charge of the military. They all showed utmost respect. May your majesty lead a long and prosperous life. Present your petitions, a servant shouted, glancing at the men below. Dugu Jianshan flicked his sleeve and came forth with a bow. Your majesty, I have worked hard in tracking down High Priest's murderer for 10 days, yet have found nothing. I ask that your majesty give me more men to conduct a more thorough search on the houses. Granted, the emperor spoke. Dugu Jianshan bowed and withdrew. Zhu Chengfeng snickered inside. The old marshal is quite serious in his search. Dedicated to the monarch and nation. A shame he's too honest, unable to grasp the cloak and daggers in the court, and insists on carrying this matter on. Be as thorough as you like. Looking in the wrong direction will still give you nothing. Zhu Chengfeng stepped forward. Your Majesty, I have a request. The imperial capital has been sealed for 10 days, driving fear into the people and the clans. For the sake of peace, I ask that your Majesty opens the gates. Humph High Priest's case is yet to be solved and you want to open the city. Is the Prime Minister so impatient because of his own matters perhaps? Dugu Jianshan snorted and glared. The Emperor flicked his cold eyes on the Prime Minister, waiting for him to continue. Zhu Chengfeng shook his head. High Priest's case is crucial, but so is the reputation of the empire. Your Majesty, you may disregard people's livelihood, but you should care about the rumors traveling outside the state. Zhu Chengfeng turned serious and bowed, presenting his petition. Your Majesty, the Quanrong Kingdom knows of your Majesty's centennial jubilee, and its emperor has dispatched a delegation with a gift. Please grant it entry, your Majesty. What? The emperor and Dugu Jianshan screamed at the same time. Quanrong has sent a delegation. Zhu Chengfeng nodded. This is an external affair. Letting the delegation see the imperial capital under lockdown will earn their ridicule. The emperor's brow shook. He glared at the slightly mocking look of Zhu Chengfeng, and hatred festered in his heart. Zhu Chengfeng has a response for everything. I didn't respond when he asked that I release the seal on the capital in the name of the people. So he used Quanrong's delegation as an excuse. Won't agreeing now look like trying to salvage my name instead of looking out for the people? His vaulting ambition is more than clear, though the emperor was unable to grasp Zhu Chengfeng's planning from his vague replies. Zhu Chengfeng presented the petition while the emperor paused in thought. Dugu Jianshan intervened. Your Majesty, Quanrong and Tianyu have only ever expressed hostility, with numerous clashes each year. The delegation is sure to be part of some elaborate scheme, and with the imperial capital in troubled waters, it is all the more reason we should block any outside interference. I beg your majesty to refuse them, lest we bring wolves in our midst. Old Marshal is mistaken. Because our two nations have been at odds in the past, we should use this chance to mend our relations and live in harmony. Zhu Changfeng shook his head and reported with a sneer, in addition, they come bearing gifts. Slamming the door in their face will put Tianyu to shame. The Quanrong will think of us as petty. It concerns His Majesty's prestige and Tianyu's name. How could you be so jumpy to lose all decorum when it counts? One official in red stepped forward with a bow. Prime Minister's words ring true. I second him. The Emperor's brow rose at the Grand Secretariat. Another official shot forward. Prime Minister speaks wisdom. Please allow it, Your Majesty. Minister of War. Dugu Zhanshan's beard shook. All officials soon stepped up, kneeling and shouting, we all agree. Even the Emperor gasped with an ashen face. He knew Zhu Changfeng's power had a long reach, but not this long, to include both civil and military officials. The man left nothing to chance. Dugu Zhanshan was overwhelmed. Those loyal officials that followed the Emperor around, all but him, were in Zhu Changfeng's pocket. Be it civil or military, all the Emperor was left with were a scarce few. Zhu Changfeng held his head high. Your Majesty, this is a matter of great importance for the nation. We, loyal subjects to the flag, ask Your Majesty to make a swift decision that I may reply to the Quanrong Emperor at once. Humph, Prime Minister, why the rush? You have so much care for the Quanrong. The last time I checked, you are our nation's Prime Minister, the Emperor said, looking at Zhu Changfeng in mock and ridicule. All officials panicked, sweating all over. The Emperor's accusation was heavy, treasonous even. He started off as a joke, but singled out Zhu Changfeng, the Prime Minister, as the nation's traitor. Not even the Emperor could accuse someone without evidence, especially the Prime Minister. It only went to show how enraged the Emperor was, getting ahead of himself. Zhu Changfeng took it in stride, even chuckled. Your Majesty, please don't joke. I am under Tianyu's payroll, working in its best interests. Try to understand, Your Majesty, everything I do is for the Empire. Ha ha ha, of course I understand the Prime Minister's toil. The Emperor forced out through gritted teeth and slammed a servant with the petition, shouting, as per Prime Minister's petition, I shall allow the Quanrong's delegation into Tianyu. The lockdown on the imperial capital is lifted and the High Priest's case will be postponed until after my celebration. Your Majesty is wise, the officials bowed, to which the Emperor snorted, watching with clenched fists. Dugu Zhanshan cursed them inside for being treasonous dogs. Meanwhile, in the High Priest's observatory, a 10-meter-large golden compass placed at the top released a deep blue glow. A strange energy lingered over it, forcing it to move. Zhuo Fan and Yun Shuang witnessed this phenomenon in shock. Is this the Yun clan's heirloom, the 8th-grade spiritual weapon, heaven-linking apparatus? Zhuo Fan was amazed. Yun Shuang nodded. By having the heaven-linking apparatus commune with the world, one can see what happens in the world. As I watched the stars last night, I saw the vile dragon converge his attention here, but that is only a rough estimate. Only through the heaven-linking apparatus can I see its precise focus and how it tangles with the other faction's fates. So that's how it is. Zhuo Fan nodded and looked at her in earnest. You do what you do best and I'll be the lookout. PFF. Yun Shuang giggled, rolling her eyes. This is the home of Yun clan. Having a lookout is like saying we came here to steal from ourselves. You do have a point. Nevertheless, with every house having eyes and ears everywhere, I'll block them. Zhuo Fan scratched his head awkwardly, guarding the door. Looking at him, Yun Shuang recalled last night and blushed. He isn't all that bad. At least not to his people, or they wouldn't hold a birthday party for him. This recall also brought her unmistakably to the moment when she threw himself in his bed like a birthday present, and there she went again, blushing harder. Shaking her head to get rid of those thoughts, Yun Shuang focused. Her eyes turned black and she stared at the heaven-linking apparatus. The stars above transformed into 4 dragons, roaming above Tianyu and tearing at each other. The clearer it became, the greater the alarm on Yun Shuang's face. When she had last looked at the stars with her grandfather, the clash of the dragons resulted in Tianyu being left in a sorry state. As for the final winner, it was unclear. But the aftermath of this war would leave Tianyu filled with corpses and the people a wreck for decades to come. The greatest casualties Tianyu had ever seen in history. The heaven-communing apparatus stopped and the stars resumed their rightful place. Zhuo Fan ran over, interested. It's over. He was stunned to see Yun Shuang crying and mournful. Shuinger, what's wrong? Did the wind get in your eye? Zhuo Fan blinked. Yun Shuang grabbed his wrist and pleaded, Steward Zhu, I beg of you. You can ignore what happened to grandfather, but please, you must stop the bloodshed from happening. Only you can alter Tianyu's fate and free the people from suffering. Yun Shuang tightened her grip. Zhuo Fan met her gaze and nodded. I will do my best, but what? Yun Shuang was overjoyed that he had agreed. Zhuo Fan was still very much serious. I keep my private matters separate from business. Personal matters always come first. You are with me now and I will help you in your troubles. But everything else will be done in passing. Yun Shuang was clueless. Zhuo Fan grinned. That's just my style. You'll know soon enough. Now what did you see? Yun Shuang snapped out of it and said, Vile Dragon's focus is on the Luo clan. Zhuo Fan raised an eyebrow. Luo clan had just received its newfound position and had not one darn relation with Quanrong. Why is it after the Luo clan? Yun Shuang guessed what was going on in that head of his and sighed. That is what fate tells me. Vile Dragon will come down hard, but it also has an augmenting effect. The other three factions' fortune will be augmented, while only the Luo clan weakens. Quanrong's coming to Tianyu bodes ill for the Luo clan. How can only the other three get enhanced? Zhuo Fan paced around with a frown, but came out empty. This shouldn't be the case. I can understand if the two of them grow, but Crouching Dragon. The Vile Dragon comes with the Crouching Dragon in mind, so why would it result in the Luo clan's suffering? Don't you find it odd? Yun Shuang nodded. An educated guess tells us that Quanrong's first target is Tianyu's imperial family, the Crouching Dragon, but the heavens have shown the contrary. I can't make sense of it either, Yun Shuang sighed. Her sight dazed while Zhuo Fan started shining. Yun Xuanji said that fate is fraught with death and life's paths, while different men make different choices, treading different walks. The three houses must have done something to make the Vile Dragon target Luo clan. What else could make the mighty Quanrong Empire focus on the little oldest? Zhuo Fan mulled it over before asking, what about the Luo clan's fortune? I don't know. Yun Shuang shrugged. Luo clan has you at the helm. With you being out of heaven's control, I can only see the present and immediate situation, while the future is blocked. Zhuo Fan sighed. Like the old saying goes, know yourself and the enemy and you'd ever be victorious. Zhuo Fan knew of his enemies getting tougher, while being in the dark about his own clan, making his own future actions uncertain. Being outside fate is not all it's cracked up to be. A deep breath and a permanent frown, that was Zhuo Fan. What took priority was finding out the three houses' activities. With such a particularly large event in play, a master plan had to be brewing in a deep dark corner. Not cracking it yesterday would get him shafted. Zhuo Fan's mood sank with every thought, yet he spared Yun Shuang a smile. Let's go back. Such a fortune to have you around at this time and to find out about all this before it had been too late. It's fine. I'm doing it for my grandfather and the people. Yun Shuang smiled back and the two left for the Luo clan. But 1,000 meters out on a pavilion, two shadows kept their sights on them until they were gone. Our shadow recon team has never been so useless before, one snorted. We're so far away that we can't see nor hear SHT. What's the point? It's not like we explicitly asked to tail Zhuo Fan, now is it? That freak has a freaky eye that has put even the captain on a sickbed. Any closer and he'd see us. Not even a miracle would save us then. The other side, come on, let's check what they were after and perish. Maybe we'll find something. Humph, now the great shadow guards have turned into garbage men. The shadow grumbled but still followed the other, drifting over to perish as black smoke. While Zhuo Fan's mind was on the shifting situation, he was out bumping into his allies, asking around for the house's movements. He had Yun Shuang peek the sky over at the parish for any other changes now and then as well. The shadows tailing them, though, never once got anything useful. Zhuo Fan was finding it more and more odd that every time he went to Drifting Flowers edifices, the people stammered each time he mentioned Chu King Cheng, thinking they may not necessarily be so forthcoming with the complete and whole truth. As for the Yun clan's migration, the emperor posed the question as a mere courtesy, getting the response from Zhuo Fan that they were in a safe place and out of the water. Well, Zhuo Fan had all the reasons. He and Yun Xuanji became fast friends, so he wasn't pushing it to help the guy's family after his death, no, and he was still Emperor-certified best steward beneath heavens. His every action was in accordance with the emperor's. It wouldn't have gone so smoothly with the Yun clan otherwise. The emperor had to swallow hard to accept the damage he had done to himself. I just had to hail Zhuo Fan so high and leave a weakness exposed. And now he had Quanrong's delegation coming over with a present. Truly, when it rained it poured. This was exactly the forecast that had Zhuo Fan's heart tense up. Are Quanrong going to play out like the forecast? Are they the fourth power to push down on the Luo clan? Zhuo Fan took out a sending jade, giving instructions to the elders. They needed overwhelming power and fast. 3 months came and went. The imperial capital was abuzz from the 1,000 detachments of soldiers at its gates in shining armor and impeccable discipline. Not to mention their mounts were not as insipid as war horses, but were spiritual beasts. The Grand Cavalry was riding on 3rd-level spiritual beasts, led by a few 5th-level spiritual beasts. The Quanrong's delegation had arrived. Zhuo Fan, come take a look at all the commotion. At the crack of dawn, a young scholar was very excitedly running towards the Luo clan. Zhuo Fan and Luo Yuncheng came out silently. He was no other than the cross-dressing Yangning snooping out of the palace as usual. With how the princess had gotten so close to the Luo clan, she dropped by every other day. First, it was seeing her dear foster sister as the official excuse, and then she shrugged all pretenses, brazenly going after Zhuo Fan. Even Zhuo Fan had to be tolerant to the princess and suffer her antics. "Princess, what are you up to this time? I don't have the time, so go ahead with Yunhai and young miss." Zhuo Fan shrugged, scratching her cute button nose. Yangning snorted and stuck her head out. "This is a once-in-100-years occasion. It's so kind of me to invite you to see the bustle, so the least you could do is thank me." "See the bustle? More like you wanting to jump right in," Zhuo Fan mocked, spinning on his heel back inside. Yangning flustered. "Quanrong's delegation has come. They're about to enter the city. It's a chance to see exotic cultures that you should never miss." "What Quanrong?" Zhuo Fan stopped in his tracks and turned right back out and kept on going. He wanted to check them out, how strong they were, how many had come to assess the threat to his house. Princess cried, "Wait for me." Luo Yuncheng was stunned, sensing the seriousness of the matter. She called Yunhai and they went together as well. And so the whole gang stepped out of the compound's gate. They had just taken a turn on Main Street when they bumped into a literal mob. You couldn't swing a dead cat without hitting something. They tried to find something besides heads, but nope, there were heads everywhere. The exotic foreigners were so in vogue right now, the whole capital was out to see them. "Brother Zhu, here," a shout turned Zhuo Fan's head, coming from a building's second floor. Long Xingyun waved for him to come sit with his allies. Zhuo Fan nodded and took everyone over. Every one of his peers was there, not just his allies, even the likes of Hell Valley and Pill King Hall. But on account of all the bustle, they decided to keep the friction to a minimum, so much so that the arrival of Zhuo Fan made them look anywhere but at him, with Zhuo Fan being a moody beast who knew what excuse he'd come up with to trash them. If the elders chose to stand clear, it went double for these disciples. Long Xingyun's group chuckled. "This brother sure is feisty, a pain for the enemy and a shoulder to rely on for the allies." "Brother Zhu, the entire second floor is reserved for the house's disciples to get a clearer view of the Quanrong's delegation." Long Xingyun invited them to sit. Zai Tianqing was stern, his hand never leaving the hilt of his sword. "I wonder how many experts they have. Like you can expect anything else from a martial fanatic." Zhuo Fan and Long Xingyun's eyes met and they chuckled. After the esoteric debate, Zai Tianqing's mood had never changed. Quanrong's delegation had yet to parade into town, so Zhuo Fan looked around. He picked up on a sneaky figure and shouted, "Yan Fu, you've come to see the excitement and won't even greet me." Yan Fu ducked out of sight on the first floor when he froze. With a forced smile and a scratch on his head, "Steward Zhu, what a coincidence." His words got cut off by a prideful voice. "Yan Fu, my master and martial aunt are almost here and you didn't get us seats." Zio Dandan came with Peony and Iris overseers when she noticed Zhu Fan's unnatural gaze and blushed, ducking her head. "Brother Zhu, they had long since been an item. But you were so cooped up that you never noticed." Long Xingyun gossiped with a snicker. Zhu Fan raised an eyebrow. "You guys." Yan Fu was scared out of his mind, even losing his voice. Everyone knew Zio Dandan was more than a little crazy for Zhu Fan. He ignored her every step, true, but that didn't mean anyone could just show up and take what is Steward Zhu's. It was a no-brainer what would happen now. Peony Overseer saw the two shaking in their boots and snapped. "What, Zhu Fan, you didn't want Dandan and now you're going to ruin her life? That's just evil of you." Zhu Fan flicked his hand, his eyes roaming over the happy and shivering couple. Then he cracked up, slapping Yan Fu's back. "Ha ha ha, ma man." He was simply overjoyed at having thrown away one pesky baggage. Everyone's faces twitched and turned dark. Yan Fu was having mixed feelings about this. He should be happy as a clam that Zhu Fan wasn't here to deck him, but the more he thought about it, the less Zhu Fan's word fit. "As if I'm picking his trash, his damaged goods." Zio Dandan had a sour taste in her mouth as well, her burning heart crumbling from disappointment. What did Zhu Fan mean by this? Did Zio Dandan mean absolutely nothing to him given any time of the day? He didn't take her seriously, labeling her as an extra baggage from the get-go. Her disciples standing there all lonely had Peony Overseer's temper explode to protect her, cursing, "Zhu Fan, what's that supposed to mean? You felt nothing for Dandan all this time? Are you dead inside?" The outburst earned silent looks from everyone. Then sighs, "It's truly a mystery how a woman's mind operates." Iris Overseer pulled on Peony Overseer's clothes awkwardly while scolding her through transmission. "When one man has eyes for Dandan, you curse. When another man ignores Dandan, you curse again. Just what do you want exactly? To have a deathmatch for the lady's hand?" That's words left peony overseer. Could Yan Fu versus Zhuo Fan even be called a deathmatch? Who in this world can even beat that brat? She only found that Zhuo Fan's cold reply had cut her disciple too quickly. Her disciple had always carried a blazing torch for him for 7 years and counting. If not for the matter with King Cheng maybe, this is fine as well. Sighing, Peony Overseer consoled Zio Dandan, then signaled for Yan Fu to come with her to teach him proper manners. Yan Fu waited for Steward Zhuo's instructions, but the guy only flicked him away. Go, your future mother-in-law is calling you. Better listen to her. You zip it, Peony Overseer snapped with a glare on him. Zhuo Fan struck the perfect bystander figure looking at the street. His heart, however, was doing somersaults. Zio Dandan was a love-struck fool, always behind him like a lost puppy. Now that someone had taken that puppy in, he was over the moon. Yangning asked Luo Yuncheng about the ins and outs of this drama and sighed, but her gaze for Zhuo Fan was now a heavier one. Getting this sugar husband won't be easy. Roar. The rumbling sound announced the opening of the city gates to reveal fanged savage beasts strutting onward in orderly fashion. The people cheered. Most of them had never even seen spiritual beasts, least of all these 5th-level ones. The noisy second floor fell silent, with everyone focusing on the procession. 5 men and 1 woman were leading on those 5th-level spiritual beasts. The crowd fell back at the imposing aura, avoiding their eyes. The ones behind had no problem seeing those foreigners perfectly. Especially the girl of stunning beauty. She had a certain wild vibe the Tianyu women lacked, leaving the men enraptured and drooling. Gulping, Long Xingyan squinted, a fair and virtuous lady, a great catch, perv. The women around rolled their eyes at him. Quanrong are famous for their beast-rearing skills, but it's my first time seeing the combined power of a man and beast. Zai Tiancheng's sword was out of its sheath, flashing dangerously. His 2 eyes filled with thirst for battle, wishing nothing more than to jump down there and take the foreigners for a spin. Everyone shook their heads, martial fanatic. Long Xingyan advised, this is a chance for our nations to shake hands. You can't go start a war, especially with that woman, he. Their talk went in one ear and out the other in Zhuo Fan's case. All his attention was focused on the riders. They had 3 profound heaven cultivators, 3 radiant stage cultivators, and 1,000 veteran cavalry in the bone-tempering stage. They rode on 1,000 3rd-level spiritual beasts and 6 5th-level spiritual beasts. Can this army threaten the Luo clan? Zhuo Fan sighed. Zhuo Fan, what are you looking at? The princess was piqued by his heavy gaze. At oddities, Zhuo Fan's eyes twitched. The princess was puzzled. What oddities? If I am looking, that means I clearly can't find them now, can I? I wouldn't be looking otherwise, you daft girl. Zhuo Fan rolled his eyes. The princess flushed red and glared in a pout. Roar. The sky shook under the noise and the Quanrong delegation stopped. Zhuo Fan's side watched one leader's mount roaring and getting ready for attack. In front of it was a 5-year-old child crying on the ground. A grizzled and thin old man charged out of the crowd and hugged the child. Forgive me, the child is too young to understand running in front of you. I'll take him away. It's fine, uncle, the woman smiled. But the jacked-up leader snickered over her. Are all Tianyu's people without decorum? I am Quanrong Empire's general, and for you, an ant, to bump into me is a gross act of disrespect. Can you bear the responsibility of a war between us? Cut the act. How could we start a war over this? We'd have been at war for ages by now otherwise. Zhuo Fan mocked. The princess bobbed her head. So did the other young masters, looking at the buff, tough guy with contempt. Those words of his only worked on the common people, while the houses were too wise to fall for some cheap provocation. The old man was but a common man, however, paralyzed on the ground in fear of what he'd done. He had just condemned his fellow countrymen to a life of pain and suffering. He dropped to his knees and begged, "Spare us, Lord, I am at fault." "Please don't aggravate the matter," the tough guy snickered, filled with contempt. But the woman frowned and glared. Zhao Lahan stopped making a scene. He, young miss, I was only messing with Tianyu's pests. It won't change anything. The tough guy waved his hand, turning to the old man. I can overlook this for Tianyu out of the kindness of my heart, but my mount here has special tastes, you see. Every time it bumps into someone, it feels the urge to swallow something, or his bad mood might affect my own. So tell me, how will you settle this? The old man paled. Figuring the general wanted to feed his spiritual beast with the child, and he wanted the old man to do it too, but how could he? The woman snapped. Zhao Lahan, having fun is one thing, but don't cross the line. Young miss, it's just a game. No harm, no foul. The tough guy chuckled, yet his vicious eyes never left the old man, waiting to see him give the child to the spiritual beast. The spiritual beast bared its fangs and licked its maw with bloodshot eyes. Humph, absurd, they've come to our land and yet act all high and mighty. Zai Tianxing slapped the table, his sword half drawn. Long Xingyan advised, Brother Zai, they were invited. We can't interfere, not with the officials having yet to appear. It will only invite trouble. Ha, the great noble houses, afraid of stirring trouble. The princess snapped, I never saw you stop once from looking for trouble, yet now you've decided to sit back. Chickens, Zhuo Fan, follow me as we teach them a lesson. Knock yourself out, I don't feel like it. Zhuo Fan flicked his hand, like you said. The 7 houses have made looking for trouble practically a tradition, so you can handle it. Oh, Zio Dandan, weren't you once high-strung as well? Zio Dandan blushed with a lowered head. I was more confused than angry then. Why bring it up? Yan Fu, you're no better either. Zhuo Fan glanced at him. Yan Fu nodded with calm. True, every time I went out with my master, I'd be throwing my weight around. But since I've joined the Luo clan with its tight rules, I never get the chance. Well said, you'll show off again one day, not to worry. Zhuo Fan snapped his fingers and snickered. See that, princess? We may look calm and kind on the surface, but there's a festering evil in our bones, like those guys below. Aren't you expecting too much, sending us mean guys into another mean guy's business? The princess blushed in anger, then I'll go. Meanwhile, the old man was hugging the sobbing child tighter, under cold, hard pressure and indecision. It was then that a scoff came. Quanrong are guests and nothing more. Since when have they started acting as hosts? Wu Xian Shuang stood before the elder and the child. Zhuo Fan sighed. He didn't give a hoot about others while being unable to ignore his own people. His eyes glinting, Zhuo Fan's mouth curled up in his trademark evil smile. Time to probe the Quanrong for a bit. Shuinger, Yangning cried. The others looked on as well, stunned to see the Empire's holy maiden coming out in the people's defense. Then they turned eager. After the high priest's death, the holy maiden had become the apple of the Empire's eye. They'd go as far as charging into the Quanrong delegation if it meant defending her. Something the Quanrong were not privy to, evident by Zhao Lahan's mockery. Missy, are you out for a quick death? Hasn't your emperor taught you how to receive guests? You'll now butt into another's problems, even Quanrong's delegation. If you call yourselves guests, just act like one. I've never seen a guest as outrageous as you. Yun Shuang stood tall and bold. Zhao Lahan glared, then cackled. What a charmer you are. As for falling in with the customs here, it will depend on the host. I'm going to take those 2 for my mount as a snack. What's the host going to do about it? Zhao Lahan shouted, and the beast roared in its pounce on the old man and child. No, Yun Shuang shot a palm at the beast's skull. Zhao Lahan merely snickered and released his aura. Bang, Yun Shuang rebounded as if hitting a wall. Ha ha ha, a profound heaven girl dares to interfere. I wonder what gave you the gall, Zhao Lahan cackled. Yun Shuang's heart was beating frantically. Watching the old man and child becoming the spiritual beast's dinner about to be engulfed by those fangs, she teared up. Have mercy on my people, for they are suffering so. The old man and child closed their eyes, knowing their end was inescapable, waiting for the jaws of death to close on them. The Quanrong woman shouted, Zhao Lahan, stop this instant. Too little, too late. Zhao Lahan turned a deaf ear to her orders, having gone drunk on power. The people sighed with a shake of their heads. This was the fate that awaited any common man's stumble upon the Quanrong delegation. With it being a matter concerning the future relations between the 2 nations, how many people would dare to step in to solve this mess? Holy Maiden was one, albeit weak. Under everyone's gazes, the fangs inched closer and closer on their meal. The aura had the old man and child unable to even breathe. PFF. With a groan, the savage aura withdrew and the spiritual beast halted mid-charge with its maw open. Only the stench kept coming. Zhao Lahan was shocked, and the audience was shocked, regaining their hope. Who was it? The old man and child were still waiting for death, but the beast was running late, making them crack open their eyes to watch the stunning spectacle. The savage beast's huge body was stopped by a red hand. What stood before them was a youth with white hair. They knew who he was. Everyone did after the fiasco outside the imperial palace. The savage no one in Tianyu messed with, Zhuo Fan, had arrived. How is that possible? The calm Quanrong now cried out. Zhao Lahan's eyes flashed with a thirst for battle. Tianyu has someone capable of holding back a 5th-level spiritual beast with one hand. The agitated lads on the 2nd floor rested easy now, sitting back to enjoy the show with one leg over the other. Once Zhuo Fan stepped up, everything became a foregone conclusion, and all thanks to Zhuo Fan's harsh, cruel, and heavy-handed lessons. Zai Tiansheng was grumbling, what a hypocrite. He says he washes his hands of this matter, yet here he is jumping right in. Ha ha ha, isn't it great though? He's the only one who dares to butt in such an affair. Brother Zai, don't mind it, Long Xingyan laughed. The others bobbed their heads in total agreement. It begged the question though, would the dragon come out on top or the snake? Zhuo Fan paid no attention to the savage glints. He merely glanced at the old man and child. What are you looking at? Do you still want to get eaten? The old man darted away with the kid in his arms, expressing his gratitude. Thank you, Steward Zhuo. I will never forget this. What arrogance, Zhao Lihan barked, holding the beast by the mane, causing it to roar as well. It thrashed around trying to escape from Zhuo Fan's grip. Zhuo Fan was using the killing arm, proving its efforts were in vain. Zhuo Fan snorted and flicked. To the audience's shock, the fifth-level spiritual beast slammed into the ground like a ton of bricks, knocked out cold. Zhao Lihan took to the air, outraged. A mere flick knocked a fifth-level spiritual beast unconscious. Who is this guy? I've never heard of anyone like that in Tianyu. The Quanrong delegation was just as stunned. Steward Zhuo's might is boundless. It started with a shout and then it turned into a roar as more voices joined in, throwing their fists in the air. Steward Zhuo, Steward Zhuo. The shouts came in waves, rumbling across the sky. The Quanrong delegation looked around in shock and then focused at Zhuo Fan. A steward has such power. How come we've never heard of such an outrageous being in Tianyu? His fame is great as well. The people practically love him. Blast it. What is the intelligence department even doing? An expert like this that every common man knows about, yet we've gotten no wind of. They're all nothing but 2-bit rejects. Ignoring it all, Zhuo Fan strode over to Yun Shuang. She had put on a wide smile, being relieved for the people's safety. At some point, her heart knew that as long as Zhuo Fan was around, everything will be okay. Zhuo Fan was the one who gave her such a sense of security. Steward Zhuo, Yangning squeezed in with Yan Fu through the crowd, running at them. She bowed, "Forgive me, Steward Zhuo, for our tardiness in buying the goods you asked for. Please don't blame us. We are mere servants, nothing in your eyes, but we are hardworking." Someone blocked our path. Zhuo Fan noticed her wink and laughed. This girl hasn't been around me for long, yet she has developed quite the flair for the dramatic. The Quanrong delegation was overwhelmed. Say what? That lady just now and the new kid are only errand boys. Everyone from Quanrong felt a chill. Mommy, which house is bursting at the seams to have a profound heaven expert doing errands? Weren't profound heaven experts supposed to be clan elders in Tianyu? Gulping, the Quanrong looked at them in fear. If a servant's requirements are at least the profound heaven stage, then what about their elders, clan head, and even venerables? More importantly, how many clans like these are there in Tianyu? They all knew Tianyu was a hidden den of monsters, but this was ridiculous. No, how is that hidden? Even the common man knows their outstanding blue blood. God damn you, Hu Lianchai, how the hell did you perform your investigation? The Quanrong glared at the last rider on the 5th-level spiritual beasts, a thin, middle-aged man. The guy was bewildered as well, lowering his head in shame. When did Tianyu whip out a fresh batch of clan members? Or are they bluffing? But a glance at Zhuo Fan had him sighing instead, losing all nerve. Zhuo Fan was a 3rd layer of profound heaven expert, but a hand of his trashed a 5th-level spiritual beast. Not even Zhao Lihan could do that. For a freak like that to be a steward and the clan to have profound heaven experts as servants may not be such an oddity. The Quanrong looked at Zhuo Fan's group with solemn gazes, with all their arrogance washed away. The younger generation on the 2nd floor felt their cheeks twitching in tandem. Zhuo Fan is the worst influence. He is pushing them deeper on the path of violence. You know you're wasting time, so why are you still here? If you run late and the young master isn't satisfied, I for one can't suffer the consequences, and you sure as hell can't either. Flicking his sleeve, Zhuo Fan strutted forth. He might as well go with the flow and take the play as far as it took him. The Quanrong grew tense. This outrageous thing is afraid of his young master. This clan must have harsh rules with experts in droves, so much so that the steward who has such godlike power isn't of high status in the clan and has to cater to the young lord's whims. Everyone knew the strong ones in the clan were revered, and even the clan head watched his tone around them, let alone the young master. From the sound of it, he isn't much in the clan. But what does that make his clan an abomination? PFF. Yangning and Yun Shuang shared a sneaky smile and the people hid their joy. All of Tianyu knew of Zhuo Fan by now, a steward in name yet the de facto leader of the Luo clan in the clan head's absence. Only gooks would actually fall for his antics, and the Quanrong were shaking in their boots. With the intel and their numbers, they figured they'd boss Tianyu around, with no house or clan messing with them. Reality proved otherwise, however. They'd just met a servant who was a profound heaven expert, while their steward was a godlike freak capable of doing anything. Case in point, didn't the steward wipe the floor with their general's mount? It was by this clan's grace that they weren't dead already. The Quanrong slumped, losing their haughty air. A handsome youth even cupped his hands. My subordinate was too impulsive, and I apologize for the trauma he caused. Thugs on the outside, yet pushovers at heart. His attitude earned the contempt of everyone. Be that as it may, having the delegation apologize for its transgressions was enough. No, tell that to Zhuo Fan. He never once looked at them, treating them like air as he turned to Yun Shuang. What are you standing around for? Back to shopping? Ridiculous. Zhao Lahan's eyes spat fire, his fists tight. The princess snickered inside, yet not quite content with how subdued the drama was. She wanted it blown sky high and pointed at the Quanrong. Steward Zhuo, how are we to do that when they're blocking the road? Zhuo Fan eyed her for a second, picking up on the glint in her look. Perfect timing. Let's get those guys to act and get a feel of the situation, shall we? Hold on while I deal with this. Turning a cold look to the Quanrong, he walked over. The imperial capital's main street is for walking, not parading your pets. Anything on all four out? What did you say? Zhao Lahan snapped, his muscles tightening like steel, his body primed to explode any minute. The youth next to him turned glum. Zhuo Fan was treading on thin ice. The Quanrong were bestrearing people. They'd lived all their lives among them. Asking them to throw their beasts out was like demanding them to give up their advantage and pride. The answer was an obvious no. The 8 houses people on the second floor snorted. Most of them had first-hand knowledge of Zhuo Fan's style. He'd even steal candy from a baby. No low was beneath him. He'd wrung them off of all dignity and still act like the sore loser. Per Zhuo Fan's MO, he'd first taunt his victim so he'd act in self-defense, leading them to strike first. The result? Of course, beating the crap out of you, all while standing on the moral high ground. Let's see if anyone can top that. How many innocent victims had fallen under Zhuo Fan's malignant thumb, with nowhere to vent their loss and were forced to suffer in silence. Everyone knew that Zhuo Fan's infamy was practically built on it. Exceptions being the Quanrong, the new guys, the fresh meat, falling for it hook, line, and sinker. There wasn't a soul out here who wasn't snickering inside, waiting for the show to start. That's what you get for being obnoxious. Clueless as you are, you should keep your head down anywhere near Zhuo Fan. The Quanrong youth walked up to Zhuo Fan, his heart unsettled. A deep breath helped a bit before he began. We are Quanrong warriors, our beasts never leave our side. We only know how to advance and never retreat. If you're capable, then you can make the spiritual beasts fall back. The people cried holy moly inside. Zhuo Fan blinked once, then stared back, an evil grin playing at the corner of his mouth. That kid sure is something. Long Xingyan sighed. The rest agreed. His words were impeccable. Neither an outright refusal nor taking it lying down, but he had shifted the issue onto Zhuo Fan, to have him deal with it. Everyone knew the youth probably had no clue what Zhuo Fan was made of, thus he chose the middle ground to neither sound threatening nor a coward, thinking that Zhuo Fan was a man of importance. It was a perfect blend of tone and words to defend his self-respect, and thus he had dumped the issue on Zhuo Fan's head. Failing to scare the beasts back would put Zhuo Fan on the spot, 2 birds with 1 stone. He had avoided the taunt and forced the other person to take action. Now it begged the question, who on earth could push back 1,000 spiritual beasts? Not even Quanrong's best beastmaster could do it. The Quanrong watched the youth with gratitude and gave Zhuo Fan a wide grin. Long Xingyan gasped, inspecting the youth. Who is he? So young yet versed in politics and strength. Luo Yunhai nodded. He is leader material with an air about him that could have only been gained in battle. Ha ha ha, brother, your eyes are getting sharper. 4 people stepped on the second floor, the 4 tigers of Tianyu. Looking at the standoff outside, Dugu Feng laughed. We've been waiting for the delegation to reach the Imperial Palace's gates, yet they just wouldn't show. Turns out the scamp cut them off. I just can't make sense of him. He's picking a fight with anyone. He isn't called Tianyu's #1 thorn for nothing, ha ha ha. Big brother, could you please not talk like that? It wasn't Zhuo Fan who started it this time. Luo Yuncheng tried to salvage the situation. Dugu Feng smiled. Brother is so jumpy, but I didn't mean it as Steward Zhuo's responsibility. We had figured there'll be some hostilities with the Quanrong. That's what happens when we battle each other for years and years. Their delegation is only here to showcase their superiority, something we planned for. Yet here they are, dead in their tracks and saving us plenty of trouble too. The others understood. Their march to the Imperial Palace was to set up their powerful position, cut short by Zhuo Fan's interference. Sigh, it's a darn shame too. It was one thing to raise your tone against the 4 tigers of Tianyu, and a whole nother against Zhuo Fan. By the way, brother, do you know that youth? Luo Yunhai asked. Dugu Feng sighed. Not just know him, but he is an old rival. He is the Quanrong Empire's commander Chuoba Taishan's only son, Chuoba Liufeng. He's a young commander, Luo Yunhai exclaimed. I was wondering why I got a general's vibe from him. Dugu Feng nodded, his eyes fixed on the youth. Chuoba Liufeng is shrewd, brave, and adept in leading his men. A bit on the young side, but he has earned his place in the army. We 4 have tangled with him more times than I can count, and always came at a disadvantage. They say he will take his father's place, a prime candidate to be the next commander. Luo Yunhai's eyes trembled, and he ingrained the youth's image in his mind. The next Quanrong Empire's commander meant their future enemy. Elder brother, what about the others? Luo Yunhai asked. Dugu Feng said there are 8 wolf wardens under Quanrong Empire's commander, of great mettle and are unstoppable. 3 of them are currently present. Du Feng pointed at the tough guy stirring trouble. He is second among the 8 wolf wardens, savage wolf Sha Lahan. His innate power and unmatched bravery paint him as someone able to tear apart a 5th-level spiritual beast, a fierce opponent. That one there is obscure wolf Hu Lianchai, in charge of intelligence and scouting. A hidden danger, Du Feng pointed at the thin figure. He isn't much to look at, but he is sure to be watching you. His operatives are sharp and capable. Luo Yunhai nodded. Du Feng turned to a masked man with only half his face visible. That is Quanrong Empire's most famous archer, ranked 3rd in the 8 wolf wardens, the sky-piercing wolf Shi Bai. His heaven-shaking bow and cloud-nailing arrow are 6th-grade spiritual weapons. His shots are deadly, taking out the enemy generals. Even the marshals suffered at his hands. He is one opponent you can hardly guard against. You're telling me that Godfather, a 6th layer of radiant stage expert actually? Luo Yunhai widened his eyes. Du Feng nodded gravely. Yes, 8 wolf wardens are all tough, all radiant stage experts, all veterans. Never underestimate them on the field of battle. Everyone nodded. If not for the 4 tigers of Tianyu saying it, who were engaged in wars all year round, the 8 houses' youths would have never known that the Quanrong had sent a mean bunch this time. Luo Yunhai turned to the last 2, his eyes never leaving the oldest person from his sight. Hair white, small yet sharp eyes, casting a veil of mystery over him. Elder brother, who is that? Du Feng mumbled. Quanrong Empire's imperial tutor Han Taimo. He is our Prime Minister Zhu Chengfeng's equivalent. Does that mean the enemy has sent his best over? Everyone was startled. How could they send someone of such importance to Tianyu? Don't they fear an assassination? Du Feng shook his head morose. Quanrong Empire is unlike ours, who have the 4 pillars to hold up the nation, yet each of them is filled with their own designs. Take Godfather and Zhu Chengfeng for example, neither will accept the other. With years and years of constant fights at the border, they say Zhu Chengfeng had planned to go to the Quanrong Empire once for peace talks, but never carried it out. Do you know why? He feared the old marshal's betrayal, the chorus sounded. Du Feng nodded. Godfather isn't the type to do this, but it'll be impossible for the Prime Minister to believe Godfather completely. While Quanrong Empire's commander Chuo Taishan allowed his son to come on this delegation because the imperial tutor is here to look after him. Why Han Taimo has come in the first place is because Chuo Taishan has 5 million troops stationed at the border, sending the delegation off. If any danger were to come upon the delegation, the army would march south and the empires would be tangled into a heavy war. This is the general's accord. Everyone felt a shiver run down their spine. The enemy emperor's left and right arm help each other, while our 4 pillars are stuck in a conflict. If not for Tianyu's vast lands and many talents cropping up, as well as the 7 noble houses and the empire's 3 guardian sects, we'd have long since fallen. Everyone shook their heads. What about the babe? Long Xingyan licked his lips, enraptured as he was, pointing at the girl. Du Feng deadpanned. She is Chuoba Taishan's only daughter and Chuoba Liu Feng's younger sister, Taoba Lioner. Hailed as the #1 beauty in Quanrong and owner of impressive beast-rearing skills, but she is yet to show up on the battlefield and is of weak cultivation. There's nothing about her worth mentioning. Oh, Brother Dugu, what kind of man are you? How can you use strength to judge such a fine specimen? Stomping his feet in admiration, Long Xingyan said, she and our women are different, but it's all in the style. I wonder if I can invite her over during her stay in Tianyu. A night in the warm candlelight, a beautiful entanglement, and the War of the Nations may very well be a thing of the past. Perv, the women rolled their eyes. The men twitched and sighed. Du Feng said, Brother Long, it's best that you forget about her. She is the commander's daughter for one, and although no one has seen her skills, she is no pushover. Don't test her and turn this into an even bigger issue. No biggie, some flowers you can pick, some you can only admire. This young master has his self-esteem, ha ha ha. The beauty below simply danced in the infatuated eyes of Long Xingyan. The others merely shrugged. Veiled Dragon Pavilion's young pavilion lord was a casual romantic, unlike the savage Zhuo Fan. He ought to know when to stop, no? Meanwhile, Zhuo Fan stared down Chuoba Liu Feng in thought. Then he grinned, telling you to step back is out of respect for you, faraway guests. Do you really want me to do it? Ha ha ha, if you must. Chuoba Liu Feng grinned back and the Quanrong were looking at Zhuo Fan with mockery. The spiritual beasts under them were their lifetime companions, listening to nobody's orders but them. As for cowering them, haha, like that's gonna happen. These weren't your average beasts, mind you, but comrades in arms as they had shed blood and sweat on the battlefield together. Their wills were tougher than ever. It came as no surprise that no one believed Zhuo Fan was up to the task. Have it your way, Zhuo Fan snorted inside, took all the spiritual beasts in his eyes and his grin spread wider and wider. Chuoba Liu Feng's instincts kicked in and his heart shuddered. As for the cause of the queasiness, he had no idea. Shove off, Zhuo Fan's eyes glinted azure along with his bark. It rang louder and louder in the spiritual beast's ears. It was then that a ripple swept across them. The still cheerful spiritual beasts froze and their riders looked down stunned. Before the riders could even grab their mane, the beasts were howling away. Under the stunned gazes of everyone, the 1,000 spiritual beasts scampered off towards the city gates, running for their lives, paying no heed to the riders' orders. Something of incredible dread and terror consumed their minds, driving them insane and leaving them with only the instinct of fleeing. The bond between man and beast, forged in the thick of battle, through happiness and sadness, now laid broken. What the hell stopped this instant? Chuoba Liufeng's mount was also frantic, but no matter what he said, it wouldn't listen. So he took to the sky, watching the 1,000 beasts on the ground stampeding for the gates, the 6th, 5th level spiritual beasts included. It only took a second for them to clear the city. They left behind a bunch of rattled and sorry-ass riders, with an unlucky few trampled under the horde, ending up with broken bones by the dozen. There was not a face out there in another state than bugged out and slack-jawed, except of course Long Xingyun's gang on the 2nd floor who only chuckled. They had been through this kind of thing back in the esoteric debate, where Zhuo Fan scared away the blood crocs with a glare. Using savage beasts in front of Zhuo Fan was like asking for a beatdown. Quanrong Empire, founded on beastmasters, had met their nemesis in Zhuo Fan. The 6 people in the air faced this incredulous, inconceivable, and preposterous scene with blank minds. Chuoba Liufeng even looked at his sister. Lioner, you're the best at controlling beasts. Just what is going on here? How should I know? Tauba Lioner soured for a second, then recalled something. He squinted at Zhuo Fan for a whole 15 minutes before crying, "It's you." Zhuo Fan turned towards her. "Someone from Quanrong knows me." Zhuo Fan took a single look at her and his heart started beating a mile a minute. She was that same girl he had saved back in Beast King Mountain, the one he had swindled out of the shaping spring she had stuck her claim on. Oh, so she's from the Quanrong Empire. Perhaps he didn't care then to look closer, or it's been too long that he didn't spot her. When the Quanrong got here, all he cared about was their level. He had no intention to care about some woman's looks, unlike that loaf Long Xingyun, who could tell on the spot how many moles a girl had. Tauba Lioner hadn't guessed either, since Zhuo Fan now had a thick mane of white hair, but the instant Zhuo Fan scared the beasts off, she was brought back to Beast King Mountain. On a closer look, she figured him out. The two stared off in silence and puzzlement. Who is he? What is he doing in the imperial capital? Whose house's steward is he? So the girl is a Quanrong. But what was she doing on Beast King Mountain at the time of the esoteric debate, no less? Does it have something to do with the Quanrong delegation's aim for coming here? Zhuo Fan pondered. On the 2nd floor, Luo Yuncheng's face was hard, that rotten, stinking prick. He knows another lady. Sigh, another hottie falls into Brother Zhuo's clutches. I admit defeat. Long Xingyun sat back with hands behind his head. Just how many chicks does Brother Zhuo know anyway? For him to get close to even the Quanrong Empire's girls, he is one Casanova. Lioner, do you know each other? Chuoba Liufeng asked. Tauba Lioner whispered, Brother, he is the one I had talked about, the weird one I came across. What? Chuoba Liufeng set his bloodthirsty eyes on Zhuo Fan. There's actually a man in this world with such absolute power over beasts. He is the greatest threat to us. He has to be put down. Ice cold and unbridled killing intent shot forth. It stabbed into the people's hearts like biting winds in the coldest winter. Damn, Chuoba Liufeng is usually calm. Why then the sudden thirst for blood? Du Gufeng grew nervous. Long Xingyun grinned, why indeed? But even if they show their tough side again, Brother Zhu is sure to nail them dead. What's there to worry about? That's exactly what I'm afraid of. Who here doesn't know about Zhuo Fan's temper? Irritated enough, those guys won't see tomorrow. If anything happens to them, what will Chuoba Taishan's 5 million army at the border do? Du Gufeng shook his head. The rest stirred makes sense. Zhuo Fan merely curled an eyebrow in glee. Come on, make a move already. Zha Lahan Jibai Falcon formation. We'll do it in one move. Chuoba Liufeng's eyes trembled, watching Zhuo Fan coldly. The masked man nodded and Zha Lahan was exuberant, his flesh trembling in joy. Imperial tutor Han Taimo wasn't quite in agreement. Liufeng, we don't know what he can do or who's behind him. Attacking him rashly is thoughtless. Him being a threat is enough. He has got to go now or our beast armies will suffer. Chuoba Liufeng set his jaw. We are in an altercation with him now. This is the best excuse to ice him. When we see Tianyu's emperor later, we'll just say that the guy got too confident of his blue blood in stopping us and got killed by a stray attack. Han Taimo nodded after a long pause, but his heart was still unsettled. From the moment he had laid eyes on Zhuo Fan, the imperial tutor felt a thorn in his heart. This was his intuition he had built over the decades. Thinking of the last time this feeling came, it was when he met Zhu Changfeng. Sai Tianyu has so many talents. Han Taimo noticed the sharp look in Zhuo Fan's eyes and sighed. Attack, Zhao Lehan laughed, going after Zhuo Fan with bloodshot eyes, his face twisted and savage. Ji Bai took out a glittering golden longbow, pulling the string like second nature as he aimed for Zhuo Fan. Snickering, Zhuo Fan flicked his right hand in contempt. Stop, an aged voice towered over the commotion, and Zhuo Fan was found overshadowed by a figure pointing his long blade at the six. Chuoba Liu Feng Han Taimo, what do you think you're doing? Rumble. Zhao Lehan paused at his arrival. Chuoba Liu Feng sighed in the end, withdraw. Ji Bai figured that was the case and put away his bow. Chuoba Liu Feng cupped his hands at the towering figure, expressing respect for once. Marshal Dugu, it's been ages. With the two nations tangled up in war for decades, the commanders had long since grown accustomed to one another, forming mutual respect. A hero valued another, regardless of which side they were on. Quanrong's entire leadership present here showed their respect to the man called Dugu Jianshan. At the arrival of the marshal, everyone sighed, knowing the fight was a bust. Zhao Lehan snorted, unwilling to let Zhuo Fan just walk away. Zhuo Fan couldn't care less. Oh, he did find it a darn shame as well, having lost the chance to probe them well. Though not a complete waste of time, as he did get a ballpark figure. Marshal Dugu, how can your people lack even common decency? We represent the Quanrong Emperor in presenting your nation's majesty with a gift. Is this how a host acts, scaring our mounts and harming our warriors? Tauba Liner glared at Zhuo Fan while hurling her accusations. The way she figured was, with Dugu Jianshan's position in Tianyu, if he didn't give Zhuo Fan a heavy punishment, he'd at least give him something. Maybe a slap on the wrist, that would settle her current and past hatred nicely. Ashamed, Dugu Jianshan saw Zhuo Fan lollygagging behind, sloppy, bored, and uninterested, the perfect picture of an innocent bystander. Sighing, the old man went in the air towards the six. The six were still very much respectful as Dugu Jianshan whispered, Imperial Tutor Chuoba Liu Feng, seeing you faraway guests, I'll give you a good-natured suggestion. Forget about your rancor and drop this issue here for your sake. You can't mess with that guy. The six were startled, looking at Zhuo Fan in shock. The Grand Marshal of Tianyu was dead serious, even advising them against pushing it. As the Quanrong delegation, they represented their empire. No matter which noble or powerful figure appeared, everyone ought to show a modicum of decency to pave the way to the nation's peace talks. And Dugu Jianshan was a man above a sea of people in Tianyu, respected and admired, who would dare put on a tough front in front of him. But the way he had worded his advice and his tone all pointed towards the fact that the kid downstairs was above his station. Who the hell is this guy? After one last look at Zhuo Fan, they snapped their evil glares behind them on obscure wolf. Just how do you gather intel when you missed such a glaring threat? Hu Lianchai was downcast too, returning an angry stare, then lowering his head in shame. Well, he did have a look at all of Tianyu's great men and houses, but who knew where this brat had popped out of, having such godlike power? Marshal Dugu, who is he? How come even you are reluctant to face him? Tauba Liner asked. The rest of them put on the same inquisitive expression as well. Dugu Jianshan sighed, I am not reluctant, but simply find him a pain, a thorn to avoid. The second prince stepped on his toes and he leveled his home. You are the Quanrong, and I fear that if anything happens to you, it will plunge our nation into a bitter war. I can't have that. Ha ha ha, you must be thinking I stopped you for his sake, right? When I was in fact helping you. Rumble. All of their minds were shell-shocked at the impact this news had. Dugu Jianshan had revealed two crucial pieces of info. Zhuo Fan's authority in Tianyu burst at the seams to ignore the emperor and kick a prince around. Second was Zhuo Fan's power. Not even the six of them could stop him, but instead might end up with casualties and worsening the ties between nations. Why is it that we've never heard a word of such a valiant character? On cue, they glanced at Hu Lianchai again, but the guy wiggled his body away and avoided the stabbing gazes. He wished he could stuff his head in his pants from shame. How mortifying for an intelligence officer. Let me take you to the Imperial Palace. Now remember, keep your distance as much as possible. Dugu Jianshan sighed, then flew towards Zhuo Fan. Kid, I don't care what happened, just please let this one go on my account. They are our guests, Zhuo Fan nodded. Fine, since the old marshal asked, I will. Please do pass this along, this is my turf and not their backyard to jaywalk. Zhuo Fan was talking to Dugu Jianshan, sure, but he was so loud even deaf geezers could hear him. And before he forgot, he left the six with a middle finger as goodbye, making the six's face boil in rage. Only then he sauntered off to Yun Shuang, taking her through the Quanrong army like a champ. The men pranked by Zhuo Fan were wailing, and now that he was parading among them, their anger pushed them to the edge. But without the six's orders, neither budged an inch, forced to let Zhuo Fan's group swag their way across. He didn't leave them in the dust, but sure as hell left the Quanrong army without an ounce of dignity. Awesome. Long Xingyan gave a thumbs up. Sticking close to brother Zhu is the best. Dugu Feng sighed. Thank God Godfather mediated before the matter escalated. This maverick demonic dragon was assumed to be the wolves' next meal, yet now they were the ones left wimping. Dugu Zhanshan shook his head and led the outraged Quanrong's six to the imperial palace. Only this time the six no longer had their cocky attitude, not after the bruises their pride took just a while back. Not in their dreams had they thought it humanly possible that in this trip to Tianyu, while they had barely crossed the city gates, they would be molded into shape. Forget about dignity, they had lost all self-respect. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Zhu Chengfeng and all the officials stood before the imperial palace's gates. They had waited and waited until finally, by some miracle, the Quanrong arrived. Except the six behind Dugu Zhanshan, the rest looked like shuffling and dragging their feet, some even had to be carried. Face twitching, the Minister of War whispered, "Prime Minister, are they the Quanrong? Why do they look like stragglers from a routed army?" Zhu Chengfeng pondered and soon came to a conclusion with a smile, "Ha ha ha, I believe they were indeed rooted. I reckon they went head-to-head with Tianyu's number one thorn." The officials were stunned, then snickered inside. This new generation. Zhu Chengfeng welcomed them, ignoring their sorry states out of respect. He led them inside the imperial palace, where a feast was held along with the officials. With how the emperor's birthday had yet to come, the emperor wasn't present. After the feast, the delegation was taken to their quarters, outside imperial palace. They stayed silent all this time, a veiled contempt at Tianyu's lavish and exaggerated style. "You had us come in all this way, and now you want us out. We didn't even see the emperor yet. That's a custom for you. Going in for a feast is having good manners. But you're not the big cheese here to live in the fancy and grand imperial palace." Quanrong's 6 leaders entered a high-class tavern, while the soldiers were housed in garrisons. Garrisons guarded by Dugu Zhanshan's army. He said guarding, but it wasn't much different from keeping an eye on them to curb any violent behavior on Quanrong's part. In the dead of night, a slim figure dodged the patrols and sneaked up to a lit-up house, knocking twice. "Brother, it's me." The door opened just a crack and the figure slipped right in. Looking up, she was no other than Taoba Lioner. 6 people were in the room, the leaders of the Quanrong Empire's delegation and one who had yet to reveal his face. "Who is he?" Taoba Lioner pointed at the robed person. Chuoba Liufeng and the imperial tutor exchanged a smile. When the hooded figure raised his head, he spoke in a familiar tone. "Ha ha ha, Miss Lioner, we've been chatting all day at the feast, yet you've already forgotten me." SSS Taoba Lioner glanced at the aged man and stuttered, "Zhu Chengfeng." "What are you?" "Lioner, don't make a fuss, Prime Minister Zhu." Her brother smiled, "Is on the same side as us." "What?" Taoba Lioner stared at Zhu Chengfeng for a good while, not quite able to wrap her head around that notion. The great leader of Tianyu's 4 pillars was on Quanrong's side. Zhu Chengfeng smiled at her obvious confusion. "Miss Lioner, I and your esteemed father, imperial tutor and your emperor, have been in secret contact for decades." Lioner blinked her big purdy eyes, turning to her brother only to find him nodding. "Now a believer," she said, "I finally get why you were so confident in this mission. You had Prime Minister Zhu on the inside. He's the one you called the most reliable spy." Chuoba Liufeng merely grinned. He then said, "Prime Minister, sir, has there been no changes to the plan? I get the feeling the situation in Tianyu has gone through upheaval." "Ha ha ha, the young general is keen." "It has indeed been so over these past few years. Our plan will just have to keep up with the times." Zhu Chengfeng nodded. "Worry not though, the stage has changed in our favor and not against it." "How can you be so sure?" Han Taimo said. Zhu Chengfeng had a confident smile. The original plan was to use the Centennial Jubilee as an excuse to bring high-ranked Quanrong into the imperial capital. When the time is right, Commander Chuoba will put pressure on the borders, taking Dugu Zhanshan away and leaving the playing field open for the Regent estate to incite chaos in its conquest of the houses. With the Emperor's men busy with the mess, he'll have no one next to him, giving us the perfect opportunity to cut his head. The plan was 90% assured of success. Once the Emperor falls, the rest will follow. With no support, the veteran Dugu Zhanshan will be beaten back as well. At this point, the Quanrong army will have free rein to go across the country, with Tianyu all for the taking. The crucial point is for all these scenarios to happen at the same time. By the time the Empire's 3 guardian sects find out, it'll be too late. We'll just give them a little something to soothe them later and Tianyu will be ours. Yes, that's the original plan, but what has changed? Han Taimo asked. Zhu Chengfeng's eyes flashed. This change came out of the blue to everyone. Tianyu no longer has 7 noble houses, rather 8. It is now in an even more tangled mess with 3 factions in a deadlock. Even the ambitious Regent estate finds this situation hard to overcome. How can? Chuoba Liufeng was frantic. Zhu Chengfeng gave him a long look. Actually, you've already met with the 8th house today. Luo clan led by that steward Zhuo Fan. Zhuo Fan, the same one who blocked us, everyone cried out. Chuoba Liufeng thirsted for blood, he can't be left alive. Since they are foiling our plan, then we will help Regent Estate in rooting them out. Young Master Chuoba, take it easy. Zhu Chengfeng threw a mocking smile. If Zhuo Fan was such an easy target, he'd be dead ages ago. With all due respect, as you are now facing Zhuo Fan will end with you all getting annihilated. Each of them was shocked and looked at Zhu Chengfeng incredulously. Taoba Lioner snapped, Prime Minister Zhu is trying to scare us. I've met with Zhuo Fan before. He is strong, yes, but not invincible. Zhao Lahan or Ji Bai, in fact, anyone here can easily kill him. With 2 against him, he is sure to breathe his last for good. Zhao Lahan and Ji Bai swelled with pride. We ain't top Quanrong warriors for nothing. Zhu Chengfeng shook his head. Ha ha ha, Miss Lioner, when did you meet him? What was his cultivation? Around a year ago, he was a peak bone tempering cultivator then. Taoba Lioner recalled, now that he's in the 3rd layer of profound heaven stage, it proves he's incredible, but nothing we can't handle. Zhu Chengfeng sighed, anything can change given enough time. For a monster like Zhuo Fan, a year is more than enough. Ha ha ha, look beyond his low cultivation. Pitting your radiant stage experts against him is overconfidence and blind ambition. You're setting yourself up for failure. Zhao Lahan and Ji Bai glowered as Zhu Chengfeng continued uncaringly and spoke with an exceedingly cold gaze. Not to mention, Tianyu's every faction is in a deadlock. Looks quiet from the outside, but a storm is brewing underneath the surface. It's the best time for our plan, and the best candidate to break the stalemate is none other than the dauntless Zhuo Fan. You can't touch him before that, understand? Zhu Chengfeng's speech ended with a command, not something the Quanrong's top dogs would be keen to readily accept. Only Han Taimo was pensive before nodding. You know the situation better than us. We will listen to the Prime Minister. Zhu Chengfeng nodded, pleased. He chatted for a while longer and then slipped away. His 2 elders were waiting outside. With Zhu Chengfeng gone, Zhao Lahan was the first to act out. Imperial tutor, young master, are we just going to do what the old fox said? We have no choice. We are strangers in a strange land and shouldn't act on a whim. Han Taimo said, obscure wolf, you have 3 days to find out about Tianyu's latest events. And this time, don't let the factions' relations and their actions escape your notice. Face red, Hu Lianchai bowed and left in the pitch-black night. Meanwhile, in the imperial palace's study, the emperor was reading the reports when a reportee came. A black figure kneeled, Your Majesty, news has come that the Quanrong delegation is housed. Also, the Prime Minister has made contact. The emperor's beard shook and he grinned, ha ha ha, it has finally begun. The emperor took black and white pieces from a chess box beside him and threw them on the ground. The pieces are in play. All that's left is a checkmate. At the parish's observatory, Yun Shuang inspected the sky with the heaven communing apparatus. Zhuo Fan stood watch with a frown, replaying today's events. That Quanrong girl in particular kept coming back to him. The heaven communing apparatus stopped and Yun Shuang looked winded, with faint sweat on her brow. How is it, Shuinger? Any changes for the better? Zhuo Fan asked. Shaking her head, Shuinger was grave. Not only there are no changes for the better, but the crouching dragon looks more imposing, ready to take flight. Zhuo Fan knew it to be the sign of being on the brink of ruling this land. In other words, Quanrong's arrival made the imperial family more powerful. That's terribly strange unless… Zhuo Fan's eyes glinted. Yun Shuang begged, Steward Zhu, this sight has shown me that the land will be in even more chaos. The people will be in pain, suffering, and will be wretched. I beg of you, please save them. You alone can change this fate. Yun clan people are so strange. You've set aside your revenge for your kin and instead care for others. Zhuo Fan grinned, no worries, you are with me now. I will help you achieve your wish. No, it's for the people. Yun Shuang justified. Zhuo Fan teased, I'll do it for you, but don't feel like doing the same for the people. Now who do you want me to do it for again? Force me. Blushing, Yun Shuang lowered her head. Zhuo Fan laughed, his mind filled with constant thoughts. Everyone is dead focused on the Luo clan. For 3 days, the Quanrong delegation was confined to the garrisons. Lacking the emperor's direct summons, the guards looked dangerously close to wardens by now. They were bored out of their minds, waiting for Hu Lianchai to send back something, anything. With a ripple, a tall wall of the courtyard wiggled at one spot, followed by the sneaky Hu Lianchai finally making his appearance. With no guard being any wiser, Chuoba Liufeng signaled them to get back in the room to discuss. Hu Lianchai, have you found out Tianyu's situation? Chuoba Liufeng asked. Hu Lianchai gave a heavy nod and saluted. Young master, Tianyu is just like we've learnt from Prime Minister Zhu, having experienced great change. All brought upon by the same man that stopped our march, Zhuo Fan. He is a hard man to deal with. Chuoba Liufeng raised an eyebrow, staring him in the eye and motioning to continue. After taking a moment to organize his thoughts from his overexcited heart, Hu Lianchai stressed every word. Based on my investigation, there was no 8th noble house 8 years ago, but a nameless third-rate clan. But under Steward Zhu's leadership, this clan struck like lightning, killing everyone in their path to reach the status of 8th noble house. He is a rare talent with a sharp mind and boundless might. Hu Lianchai gave a systematic recount of the clan's history, sighing now and then but all out of respect and fear. The narration took half a day. Everyone watched him blankly, their lips dry, unable to believe. Chuoba Liu Feng and imperial tutor were downright plagued with worry. In less than a decade, he had raised a third-rate clan into a house, even surpassing their 1,000-year-old legacy. This man was a true rarity. He wasn't just some guy with a gimmick, but an unheard-of genius in the truest sense of the word. Hu Lianchai, are you sure you aren't wrong? How could this have happened? How is he so strong? Zhao Lahan protested in his denial. Rolling his eyes, Hu Lianchai was just as bitter. Do you think I want to believe this fairy tale? Am I that much of a fool? Everyone on the streets knows about this, down to the last bum. I am forced to believe it. That's why Zhu Chengfeng told us to stay clear of him. He is a serious threat. It's best we follow his advice for now, Han Taimo said. Chuoba Liu Feng squinted while pondering but nodded in the end. He will become our end if we don't get rid of him. But with how few we are, it'll be hard if he possesses the skills they say he does. We need to think of the bigger picture. Chuoba Liu Feng had to accept it no matter how much it pained him. Zhao Lahan was completely against it still. Didn't Chuoba Lioner just say that me and Ji Bai are enough to waste him? This is absurd. The young commander had complete trust in the 8 wolf wardens. Any impossible mission would be completed once they stepped in. So why was it that against a Tianyu whelp he had lost all confidence? Zhao Lahan grumbled inside, glancing at Ji Bai. From his icy look, he figured the guy was of the same mind. Now we know Tianyu's situation and need only to wait for the emperor's summons. Hu Lianchai, resume scouting and report anything you find, even rumors. The rest of you are dismissed. Understood. Chuoba Liu Feng had them all withdraw. Hu Lianchai bowed. As they all went their separate ways and Hu Lianchai was all hush-hush and is sneaking out, someone called out, Hu Lianchai, wait. Hu Lianchai turned to see Tauba Lioner bringing Zhao Lahan and Ji Bai. He bowed, young miss, do you need me? Hu Lianchai, your stealth cultivation method is rare in this world. Can you also take us along? Lioner looked at him with hope flashing in her eyes. Hu Lianchai frowned, young miss, are you? Ha ha ha, to be perfectly honest, old pal, we want to get rid of that insufferable prick. Zhao Lahan shouted, his face twisted with malice. Hu Lianchai paled, you can't. Let's say the rumors about him are inflated, but that doesn't mean you can beat him. We still don't know what he did to reach such a high position, all by himself too. Moving without the imperial tutor and young master's consent will affect the plan. We can't take responsibility for that. I just can't take you. The three nodded, figuring as much. Still, Tauba Lioner continued, then we won't kill him and we'll just teach him a lesson. Hu Lianchai, you've heard it as well, how brother isn't confident in you 8 wolf wardens. We have to prove him wrong to wash away this shame as Quanrong warriors. What if the kid is as godlike as they say? Enough ifs. Rumors always tend to exaggerate. When have you seen someone that strong around? Taking the attacks of 2 peak radiant stage experts at the 3rd layer of profound heaven stage, that's inhuman. Tauba Lioner cut him off with a strong objection. Zhao Lahan, with your innate power, you've lived among spiritual beasts deep in the mountains until 20. Can you do it? Do you believe such a ridiculous thing actually took place on this earth? Zhao Lahan shook his head with a smile. Young miss, I don't mean to brag, but I have yet to find someone who can survive my strength. When I entered the radiant stage, I could handle a peak radiant stage body cultivator's attack, while 2 would be somewhat harder. This is why I do not give credence to what Hu Lianchai says about the prick's masterstroke. It is a fantasy, a made-up fairy tale. Yeah, I've met the guy, and even though he is fast at cultivation, that doesn't make him invincible. We're only going to expose the charlatan for who he is and showcase the divine might of Quanrong. Tauba Lioner's face was filled with pride, not to mention that bastard was mean to me back in Beast King Mountain. He even stole my stuff, and I'm supposed to just let him get away with it. We Quanrong are no pushovers. Hu Lianchai nodded. They were warriors who didn't know how to retreat. Of course they'd be sure to vent their mistemper tantrum. With no more preamble, Hu Lianchai nodded. All right, young miss, enter my beast-holding ring. I'll take you out. Eyes aglint, Tauba Lioner and the other 2 perked up. In a flash of white, Hu Lianchai had them tucked away. Hu Lianchai's figure shimmered, and he soon blended in with nature, moving around like a heat wave. Meanwhile, in the region of Prosperity's compound's garden, Zhuo Fan was sipping green tea under a pavilion. In front of him were a handful of rocks scattered around on the table. Zhuo Fan was steadily looking at them. Steward Zhuo, what's on your mind? A soft voice broke his reverie, noticing Yun Shuang coming over. The stones had names on them, to which Yun Shuang said, I see Steward Zhuo is brainstorming how to get out of this impasse. Yeah, the 4 factions, including Quanrong, are now in a standoff. Zhuo Fan smiled, sipping his tea and weighed a rock. Neither side wants the deadlock to persist, looking for a palooka so hard in the head that he'd smash the stalemate wide open. But who'd be willing to become the eye of the storm, the public enemy number one, whose fate is to be torn to shreds? Yun Shuang looked at him at a loss, scratching her head. Zhuo Fan smiled. I didn't want to do it, but Shuinger, what I understood from your readings is that all these insidious players have one thing in common. They all want to make me the scapegoat. Such a fate is hard to change, even if I'm willing. Yun Shuang saw the look in his eyes and started to worry. Zhuo Fan laughed at her look. Relax, since I know heaven's direction, I'll just move against the grain. They want me to become the center of it all, that's fine by me. They'll just have to witness the second coming of Gu Santong. But unlike him, I'm not one to fall so easily, he. Zhuo Fan snickered. Yun Shuang sighed. She had yet to get used to seeing his evil grin, but felt at ease knowing Zhuo Fan had made up his mind. Yangning took this moment to make her presence noticed. In her fashionable and cross-gender, cross-cultural, cross-age, cross-dressing, scholarly getup, Shuinger Zhuo Fan, to celebrate Imperial Father's centennial jubilee, the imperial capital is holding a lantern festival. Let's all go. You sneaked out again. Zhuo Fan was in no mood, not interested. Yangning deflated and turned to Yun Shuang. As the good sister she was, Yun Shuang knew what Yangning was thinking. Steward Zhuo, the imperial capital is in turmoil and for 2 weak girls to go alone. Fine, you're an asset I have to protect and keep close. Zhuo Fan waved to her and shook his head. The girls hid a sneaky smile. Festival, you couldn't swing a dead cat without hitting someone. With their emperor's birthday fast approaching, the buildings were decorated with lanterns, turning the capital into a breathtaking scene. Many romantics and couples took full advantage of this rare occasion to get together and whisper sweet nothings to their better half. Then again, an exception was almost guaranteed to exist. Sticking out like a sore thumb was a guy with white hair, surrounded by 3 bells and at the admiration of the crowd. Buddy, you're one daring trailblazer on the righteous path of love. We poor fellows only date one on the night of Lantern Festival, while you've come out with 3. I tip my hat to you, sir. The eerie looks came everywhere he went. Zhuo Fan's face was twitching, looking at the girls with a sigh. Yangning wanted to come with Yun Shuang, but since Luo Yuncheng overheard them, she just had to join. She even shot down anyone else who wanted to join them, lest they became a third wheel. Sister, please, isn't it already a crowd with 3 girls in tow? Zhuo Fan rolled his eyes, hearing the bubbly girls giggle and chatter. All this time he was sighing and sighing. At some point, a sharp and heavy sound came, followed by a mighty pressure clearly focused on Zhuo Fan. Dodge! Zhuo Fan waved at the girls, sweeping them off their feet and sending them 100 meters away. Yangning ended up sputtering dust from the maltreatment. She slapped the ground, getting to her feet, and told him off. Zhuo Fan, what the hell is wrong with you? She was royally pissed. Here she was taking the guy on a night out and earning some brownie points, and the twit had sent her flying. That's no way to treat a friend, especially a princess. But noticing that Zhuo Fan was staring at the sky, she did as well and gasped. The other girls paled as well, filled with worry for Zhuo Fan. A bludgeon easily 10 meters in diameter came smashing on Zhuo Fan's head. On the other end of the mace was Zhao Lahan, with bloodshot eyes and a malignant face. He wanted to flatten Zhuo Fan in one strike. Hee, you pompous cretin, weren't you godlike? Try this on for size. Zhao Lahan cackled inside. The average people participating in the lovely festival shivered all over and scurried for their lives. Where did that meteor come from? It'll ruin the celebration. The ever-cold Zhuo Fan flicked his killing arm, now shining red. Bam! Zhuo Fan smacked the bludgeon into the pavement, sending an earthquake that flattened anything in its path, destroying the lanterns. The girls flew again from the shock wave, with blood coming from their mouths. Finally recovering their wits after the fall, they found a dozens of meter-wide crater at the epicenter. The golden bludgeon stood there majestic, and Zhuo Fan was buried under it. Zhuo Fan, the girls' cries went unanswered. Zhao Lahan floated above, pleased as punch, holding the mace. Ha, I knew you weren't up to snuff. One smash and I've plastered you. I should have just used 1/3 of my power instead. Zhao Lahan, a figure flashed above the mace. Tauba Lioner, look what you've done. Didn't we say we're only teaching him a lesson? Why kill him? And there's not even a corpse left. How will we explain this to the others? Shrugging, Zhao Lahan chuckled. It's not my fault that the brat was weak and was posing around with that cocky attitude. What taking 2 peak radiant stage experts attacks, that was clearly a lie. If I had known he was a wimp, an average profound heaven cultivator, I'd have used only 1%. Humph, he had it coming. That's besides the point. It was us who acted first. With such a ruckus, our plan, Tauba Lioner facepalmed. Her rant came to a halt when a casual voice said, "What is your plan?" The two watched the massive bludgeon rocking, unleashing heavy tremors. "Why, young miss, that power. Zhao Lahan felt himself being lifted along with his arm no matter what he did to stop it. The force came from the crater, and he realized that he didn't have enough strength to fight it. This is impossible. Since when did the world have such a mighty being? Zhao Lahan narrowed his eyes and watched Zhuo Fan lifting the mace up with one hand, like a giant holding the heavens. His casual look gave the feeling that he wasn't even pushing it. Zhuo Fan, the girls cheered. Taoba Liner pointed with a trembling finger. He's still alive and not a scratch on him. Zhao Lahan used everything to push him back. I already am, gnashing his teeth. Zhao Lahan's face twisted as he swelled under the strain. But no amount of strength proved to be of any use, still being unable to budge the mace. Taoba Liner paled, looking at Zhuo Fan like he was a monster. Can the rumors be true? Does he truly surpass the strongest of our people, Zhao Lahan? She used to think that her father's savage wolf was the strongest person there was. But today, Zhuo Fan was handling him like a child. Zhuo Fan put on a savage grin. This doesn't look like a good place to chat. That makes this stick an eyesore. With a cold glint, Zhuo Fan gripped harder. Crack-snapping sounds jarred the ears of everyone as the bludgeon was covered in fractures. Zhuo Fan added just a hint more oomph, and the giant stick fell into pieces. Everyone watched in stunned silence. The Quanrong were even more shocked. The purple gold-forged heaven-breaking bludgeon was a 5th-grade spiritual weapon, and this guy used his brawn alone to crush it in his hand. What is he? Zhao Lahan's face was unnatural, to say the least. He had never heard of such freakish power and was now shocked to his core. As a typical narcissist, he took it upon himself as being the best there was, only to face the harsh and cruel reality. There would always be someone better. Jibai and Hu Lianchai acted as spectators, scared out of their minds. The rumors didn't even do Zhuo Fan's power justice. That damn hearsay is asking us to get beat. In what way is he any weaker? Hu Lianchai felt like crying. His intel gathering had hit a snag again. Zhuo Fan drifted over to panicked Taoba Liner, his smile wide and creepy. About that plan of yours, care to fill me in? Gulping, Taoba Liner was lost for words in fear. Zhao Lahan sweated buckets, his eyes only reflecting fear. But he wasn't part of the 8 wolf wardens for nothing. He wouldn't give up just like that. It went double for when his young miss was under threat. While Zhuo Fan was focused on Liner, he took out an identical bludgeon. After a short wind-up, he socked Zhuo Fan's head with it. Zhuo Fan never even looked, merely flicking it away in pieces. While the weapon's owner's arm snapped from the power running through the crumbling bludgeon, Zhao Lahan still hadn't woken up to smell the roses. A mere wave from Zhuo Fan broke Quanrong's best warrior's arm like a twig. This freak is not human. He is worse than a spiritual beast. Zhao Lahan's arm dangled while he sweated like a pig. His heart was consumed by fear and in denial of what was right in front of him. It took a long time for it to sink in, the fear, the dread, the futility of it all. Taoba Liner gave the wretched Zhao Lahan a long look, then looked at the grinning Zhuo Fan. The poor girl was about to cry. She was really regretting it now, messing with a monster without rhyme or reason. Jibai at the side had his bow and arrow primed, aimed between Zhuo Fan's eyes. He was also soaked in sweat. It was Sky-Piercing Wolf's first time facing such a thorn. Whoosh flashes of golden ripped the sky, each one going for Zhuo Fan. Upon a closer look, those golden lights were nothing more than golden arrows. They pierced the clouds, surging with relentless power, and what's more, were in the hundreds. It was beyond comprehension how one man could shoot so many arrows, and those weren't your run-of-the-mill arrows either, but 5th-grade spiritual weapons. Each arrow was locked onto Zhuo Fan's vitals. Even before they arrived, Zhuo Fan already got the feeling of turning into a pincushion. That's Sky-Piercing Wolf's ultimate skill, 9th Heaven Impaler. Raising an eyebrow just a smidge, Zhuo Fan nodded. Not bad, he does have the skill of a divine archer to be able to injure Dugu Jianshan. Taoba Liner looked grave. Why, you know Jibai? Sure, I heard of him from my young master. And he heard it from his foster brothers, 4 tigers of Tianyu. Zhuo Fan smiled. Miss Liner, now don't go thinking only you do your homework. Our side likes gossip too. Of course I got to hear of our dear friend's remarkable skill. Zhuo Fan lifted his right arm towards the incoming rain of arrows. It shone red and he grinned. His bow and arrow can be as strong as he likes, but they still won't ever get to best my sacred arm. Taoba Liner realized he knew everything about them. Taking him by surprise was nigh impossible now. A darn shame Jibai was the exception. Humph, posh prick, people don't just pace around, they improve. Everything you know about us is outdated. Taoba Liner snickered, grabbing Zhao Lahan and flying away. Zhuo Fan was at a loss seeing her pull some distance. And then it happened. The shining arrow rain split in every direction. They surrounded Zhuo Fan and only then shot towards him. Now Zhuo Fan had no way to dodge, being at the center of an imploding sphere of arrows. Any weakness Zhuo Fan had would be most clearly struck. His 2 beast fists were in no way capable of defending every inch of him either. He was at death's door. Ha ha ha, see that rotten jerk, that's Zhi Bai's newest ultimate 1,000-arrow focal. This is his first time using it on the field. Try and block that. Taoba Lioner was delighted in Zhuo Fan's plight. The girls below were worried sick. The smile on Zhi Bai grew and grew. He knew exactly what this move could do. Each arrow was a 5th-grade spiritual weapon, each fired at full power and now had the guy surrounded. It was impossible to make a perfect dodge or block. Even if Zhuo Fan survived, he'd be in a world of pain. This is called flawless archery. Zhi Bai had moved himself by what he had accomplished. Using his newest ultimate on a super expert like Zhuo Fan was the best field test. Zhuo Fan wasn't that thrilled. He sighed and dropped his hand. Word on the street is that 9th Heaven Impaler is incredible. I thought of giving it a shot and to see how my arm fares. Yet instead I'm stuck with some 1,000-arrow something. How droll. PFF, Zhi Bai almost spat blood. His toil and sweat in creating this ultimate skill had earned a huge ixnay by Zhuo Fan's evaluation. His heart couldn't take it. Humph, ignorant sad sack, we'll see who's crying later. Taoba Lioner stuck out her head, having the same reaction. Humph, cut the act. You may be strong, but not even you can fend off this attack. You're finished. The sparkling arrows were this close to prick Zhuo Fan, not that he cared. How about a bet? If even one arrow touches me, my head is yours. If not, I ask Miss to be kind enough to explain that little plan of yours. Fine. Taoba Lioner was incensed, replying on the spot. While Zhao Lahan was panicking, young Miss Lioner dissed him with a wave. The glittering arrows were now a meter away from Zhuo Fan. There was no way he could get out of that, not when they covered all exits. Taoba Lioner thought this bet was a foregone conclusion. Zhao Lahan nodded as well, snickering inside. The kid is strong but not capable of avoiding all of that. Young Miss will win by a landslide. But their next reaction was, Holy Mother of God, how can he do this? Zhuo Fan squinted. A soul ripple flashed and he picked up on Zhi by hiding behind a tree 1,000 meters out. Zhi Bai sensed it as well and knew that Zhuo Fan had found him. Though he wasn't afraid. The arrows were this close to turning Zhuo Fan into a pincushion. He had bigger things to worry about than the shooter. Under the shocked and disbelieving gazes, Zhuo Fan lifted his right arm like a king and snapped his fingers just as the first arrow reached his chest, demanding, go. Whoosh, the hundreds of arrows disappeared, appearing 1,000 meters away, aimed at Zhi Bai's hidey hole. What the hell? Zhi Bai was scared out of his mind and dropped all demeanor, now surrounded by his own attack. With blasts galore, each arrow went for where it hurt. Flashes streaked the night sky on and off, in tune with the wails of agony in between. Venturing a guess, it was safe to assume that the divine archer had no friggin' clue how the hell this had happened. His first lab rat for his newest ultimate was himself. Something black and smoking plopped onto the ground, twitching now and then, squirting blood from God knew where. All that was secondary, though. What mattered was the gibberish coming from his mouth, with shock reflecting clearly in his eyes. More or less along the lines of cursing and wailing. Zhuo Fan's right eye's golden halo subsided and he laughed, ha ha ha, a true sky-piercing wolf and of flawless aim. Every last one of those hundreds of arrows hit true. I bow before the master. Taoba Lioner and Zhao Lahan were slack-jawed. Their minds were spewing curses, obscenities, and vulgarity faster than that divine archer's shot. What just happened? What did he do? Oh God, lost was the look of confidence and pride on the two. All they could express was fear and shock. Where the hell did he come from? The arrows just turned on their own maker without so much as a warning. How in blazes is that even possible? Zhuo Fan smiled his creepy grin. Miss Lioner, it appears that we have a winner in our little bet. I do hope you'll concede. Gulping, the two faltered away from Zhuo Fan. Looking at him like he was a monster, hell itself spat out. Zhuo Fan wasn't just brawn, but armed with fancy tricks. Now they realized how true Zhu Chengfeng's warning rang. He had cleaved through the 7 houses by himself so far for a damn good reason. Sweet mother of mercy, just who in hell would ever mess with this freak? They even praised Regent Estate's balls for actually fighting this guy for so long. Miss Lioner, there are 2 kinds of people I abhor, the overconfident ones and weasels. You've checked the first type. Now I hope, for your sake, you won't make the mistake of checking the second. I may have to actually get serious. Zhuo Fan stared them down. Taoba Lioner's heart was in pain. Zhuo Fan had appropriated all of her shaping spring back in Beast King Mountain, and along with all those ingredients on top, leaving her high and dry. And now he had the cheek to preach to her about Welchers. This guy was a filthy skeeve. Zhao Lahan was turning red, wanting to plunge his head into something, anything. He was Quanrong's finest in terms of strength, cleaning the battlefield like a reaper on his day off. Yet this invincible and prideful warrior had just stepped out for a second to put a profound heaven bugger in his place. But lo and behold, the awe-inspiring savage wolf was taught a lesson in humility instead. His prideful heart found it hard to even beat. But what could you do, eh? This world was based on power, If the guy had you beat and said you were a disgrace, then that answered that. You could be in denial all you want, but you better damn well sit back and take it, if you know what's good for you, or you could always retort, but was your fist tougher, didn't think so. Compared to Tianyu, who practiced righteousness, the Quanrong revered the strong. In front of Zhuo Fan's power, the two couldn't get a word in. At least the average second generation would be looking for a backer right about now, like my dad's the mayor. Or something, but wait, the Quanrong despised such things. A loss was a loss, regardless of how, to the point that they weren't even shouting out the fact that they were delegates with diplomatic immunity. Kill me? Tauba Lioner stuck out her neck, stubborn as a mule. Zhuo Fan grinned, his fingers crackling. Are you sure that you want to test me? You may be the Quanrong delegation, finding jaywalking normal. But when going after the best steward beneath heavens, I have the right to judge you. Zhuo Fan's fist flashed red, his killing intent skyrocketing. Steward Zhuo, please stop. An anxious shout came as Zhuo Fan's bloodthirst grew and grew. Zhuge Chengfeng rushed over with some men. They're the Quanrong delegation. No matter what they are accused of, charging them isn't so simple. Zhuo Fan eyed him. Prime Minister Zhuge, by the looks of things, you know what they're up to. Then you must also realize that they came here to kill me. Steward Zhuo, please listen. They have come to solve their private matters. It has nothing to do with politics. You know what will happen if you kill them. That is not something you'd want. Zhuge Chengfeng knew from a mile away that Zhuo Fan was no saint, willing to forgive and forget. So instead of appealing to his non-existing humanity, Zhuge Chengfeng baited him with cold, hard benefits. If you let them go, I promise they will be of use to Steward Zhuo one day. You are an intelligent man, I needn't say more. Zhuo Fan was pondering. Zhuge Chengfeng pointed out that the delegation were all in close relation with Commander Chuoba Taishan at the border. If they died in Tianyu, the old man would march his army down south. That would mean two things. First, the doer would be the culprit. With Zhuo Fan killing them, his head would be the only thing that could appease him. But would Zhuo Fan just hand it over like that? No way in hell, and the Quanrong would take advantage of the chaos in Tianyu and invade. The emperor definitely didn't want that, so he'd choose the second option. One that would let the emperor sleep with peace of mind. If Quanrong invaded, the whole of Tianyu shall resist it, the 8 houses and the 4 pillars included. As for you, Zhuo Fan, the culprit behind it all, I'll let this go, but go out there and fight. Fight till your last breath and bleed out on the battlefield. The emperor would not only have all the other factions weakened in the name of Tianyu's safety, he'd also showcase Tianyu's power and give the Quanrong a lesson they will not soon forget. It would end up with everyone being the loser except the emperor. Now that right, there was a classic case of the fisherman. Zhuo Fan clenched his fists, then relaxed his killing intent. Zhuge Chengfeng eased a breath, knowing Zhuo Fan still cared about the big picture. It's so nice to talk to smart people. Before he finished though, Zhuo Fan's snicker had something to say. Right, Prime Minister, sir, this time you owe me. I'll be sure to collect it in due time. Zhuge Chengfeng let out a strained laughter. The kid sure knows how to take advantage. He knows letting them live is in his best interest, yet he is saying that he only did it for me. Then again, with how close he was to the Quanrong, Zhuo Fan's words weren't that far off. All right, I owe you one. I will do my all when you need me. Zhuo Fan nodded, his eyes flashing. Zhuo Fan dumped his hostages in Zhuge Chengfeng's care, walking away like the average bystander. The 4 scheming demons had heard the commotion and scampered over on the double, but seeing that the party was a bust, they slumped into depression. Ah, we were late for the fun. Zhuo Fan glanced over at them and thought, perfect timing. Dumping the trio of babes in their hands, he went to take care of his own matters. With the Lantern Festival, ruined buildings in shambles, people running scared, and nothing else to see here, the girls went home. Zhuo Fan watched Zhuge Chengfeng's Quanrong with a twisted smile. His right eye flashed golden and he was gone. Whoosh, 2 shadows popped up the next second in Zhuo Fan's place, looking all over. God damn it. The rotten brat moves around without logic with his twisted skill. Just how are we supposed to follow? Let's just report back to the captain. We've just been given the damn slip. The other shadow was gone. The first one left just as quickly. In this desolate area, even though no one was in sight, the earth squirmed from time to time. 2 hours later, in the garrison, Zhuge Chengfeng sported a dark look facing Chuoba Liufeng and Han Taimo. Next to him were the ashamed Tauba Lioner and Zhao Lahan with a broken arm. Something black as night rested on the bed. It was only when Lioner said that that thing was sky-piercing wolf Zhibai did they actually believe it. Being let in on the whole story, the two were left speechless. Quanrong's brave warriors, 8 Wolf Warden's 2nd and 3rd team members, did a joint attack and were flicked back with practiced ease. And the opponent even strolled away like nothing happened. If not for Zhuge Chengfeng's timely arrival, they'd be dead by now. Chuoba Liufeng didn't set out to cast blame on the trio, but instead was overwhelmed by the cruel affair. Zhuo Fan was an abomination. Zhu Chengfeng sighed. I warned you not to step on his toes, and yet you, forgive us, Prime Minister Zhu, I failed in teaching my sister. I will make sure this never happens again, Chuoba Liufeng bowed, glaring at Lioner and Zhao Lahan until their faces were red from shame. As for Ji Bai, he was just laying there in his blackness. The earth squirmed and Hu Lianchai came out. He gave his salute and said, Prime Minister, sir, Zhuo Fan had a tail like you predicted, but he is truly remarkable. I don't know how he did it, but he even left me behind, not just those two. The two tails left to report instead of following you here. Ha ha ha, they're His Majesty's men all right. But that kid sure is cunning and sly like a fox. There may very well be no one in Tianyu capable of following him. Those two guys were merely trying their luck. Zhu Chengfeng mocked and praised, Obscure wolf, you are quite smart yourself to come to me first for help. Good, very good, Prime Minister, sir, that Zhu Fan was too much of a monster. I was afraid of being wiped out and thought only sir could help. Without Prime Minister Zhu's help, my sister and my men would have been slaughtered at the hands of that twisted maniac. As a brother and young commander, I express my deepest gratitude. Chuoba Liufeng gave a 90 degrees down angle bow. Zhu Chengfeng shook his head. Young master, there's no need. Even without my interference, Zhuo Fan wouldn't have killed them. Chuoba Liufeng was lost, but sister said his killing intent was actually visible. Zhu Chengfeng shook his head. He is not feared for his brawn, but for his insidious and twisted mind. His savage routine was all to draw me out. The one who comes out to save you first is bound to be the one closest to you. I presume that even His Majesty knows about our connection now. What? Chuoba Liufeng cried. What do we do now? Zhu Chengfeng said, it's fine. The difference between overt and covert schemes is that the latter will never see the light of day, while the former does not have such limitations. It won't change a thing even if they do know. The events will continue to play out like normal. I can no longer stop them. But wouldn't it have been better if we weren't exposed? Chuoba Liufeng sighed. Prime Minister, sir, why did you come out knowing Zhu Fan's intent? Zhu Chengfeng's brow trembled and he spoke in a dark tone. Because I couldn't gamble whether Zhu Fan act or not and chose to play it safe. I have read many people in my life, but only two have failed to open to me like a book. He is one of them. Everyone was stunned. Zhu Chengfeng was known as the best mind in Tianyu, yet he couldn't see through a brash kid. Zhu Chengfeng smiled in reply to their thoughts. I caught a glimpse of him before the esoteric debate, but ever since after the event, he is closed to me, or it may be that I don't even want to see. Because in that battle, he had done terrible and unimaginable things. What? Taoba Lioner lit up. Zhu Chengfeng sighed. He lost his mind over a girl. It was my first time seeing him like this. In his madness, he had executed some of the most savage ploys, ending with the death of Regent Estate's eldest young master and plunging the Luo clan into the twisted world of politics before its time. All of these were rash and ill-advised choices. He was sure of it as well, but made them anyway. From that moment, unwanted contriver could no longer read him, and I do not dare fathom his train of thoughts. No one can grasp when he's going to snap or play it cool. Zhu Chengfeng took a deep breath. You now know why I exposed myself and why I had to save you. It is impossible for me to tell if his actions are driven by lunacy or insidious lull. Han Taimo and the rest sighed, scared by a man who was too unbalanced or unreadable to guess what his next action would be. Meanwhile, Zhuo Fan went to a tea house to meet with a black robe. Fan used discerning field to scan for any nosy neighbors. Only then did he walk into the tea house and sat across from the black robe. Who knew this day would come when you'd ask me out? The black robe kept his hood low, hiding his features. Zhu Fan smiled. We're all old friends in a way. Chatting around a cup of tea after so long is pretty normal. Humph, cut the act. You know it well enough that our grudge can't be mitigated. We never had any friendly chats. The black robe sipped his tea, his words cold. Zhu Fan giggled. Well, looky here, how you've improved. Think I can't snap your head right here, right now? Yes, I do. The man shook his head. You would have long killed me by now otherwise. I am not your match, but since I've answered your invitation, I'm sure you didn't come here just to finish me off. Zhu Fan grinned. I see you've done some growing up over the past years. Not just a conniving mentality, but nerves too, just like that old demon back in the day. Shuddering, the black robe's grip on the teacup tensed, yet he continued sipping the green tea. I'll keep it nice and simple. The report I have from my house's spies puts you in a precarious position at a crossroad, and have you come to threaten me with it? The black robe's cold tone cut Zhu Fan off. Humph, see how much good will that do? My two employers agree on my choice. You won't be using that on me anytime soon. You've pegged me all wrong. I didn't come here to threaten you, instead just to talk. If you're interested, Zhu Fan stared hard at him. How about a three-way crossroad? Mind considering taking a step towards the Luo clan as well? Shuddering, the man cried in disbelief. What did you say? I think I was clear enough. Zhu Fan chuckled. A sly person always has a fallback. Why not get one extra? For you, it comes with no downsides. Don't tell me you haven't been considering it. You're insane. We're enemies, the black robe roared, slapping the table. I'll never help you, Zhuo Fan mocked. You're so outdated. Very. This will probably be the highest you can go. What did you say? Nothing really. Before the esoteric debate, I met Zhu Chengfeng and talked. He asked me, I and Leng Wucheng scheme for our own personal gains, so why do you stay a mere steward to a rundown third-rate clan? My answer was simple. My ambitions go beyond his. Zhu Fan's eyes flashed with malice. The way I see it, be it some unwanted contriver or the greatest mind of this empire, I will always be better. As for you, you're not even at their level. Your scope is tiny. Shuddering, the black robe dazed out, his mind drifted. Zhu Fan just sat there, waiting. He sighed at one point and stood up. I see that you still don't understand. Never mind then, I don't have the time to wait for you to catch up. One moment. The man stopped him and said, Tianyu is on the brink of anarchy. What promises do I have that your Luo clan will come out on top? If I were to say because yours truly is around, Luo clan will have the last laugh, you probably won't believe me, so, grinning, Zhu Fan said, I will let you stay at the three-way crossroad. You will have the luxury to pick the winning side. The man replied after a pause, You don't expect me to burn the other two bridges to take yours, do you? Of course not. You're no fool and won't do it even if I tell you to. Everyone is selfish. If the Luo clan falls, you still have the other two, right? Zhu Fan had an uncanny smile, like a nice uncle handing candy to children. The black robe nodded. If there are no conflicts of interest, I am open to cooperation. Splendid. It can't be simpler. I won't need you to do something hard anyway. Just do this at the right time and you're in. Zhu Fan whispered in his ear. The black robe froze, then watched him stunned. Have you lost it? Literally everyone is trying to do anything to not take that wretched and doomed fate. Yet you want to jump right in and be the center of it all. Who do you think you are? Gu Santong, shrugging, Zhu Fan said. What else can I do? Everyone is out to get me. Well, someone's gotta do it. The man held his gaze, then nodded, praising, Now I understand how you've climbed so far. To others you are ruthless, but a savage to yourself. From what you want of me, I can guess this much. Zhu Fan is Zhu Fan, specialized in turning the world upside down. Ha ha ha, please, I'm blushing. Then to our healthy relationship. Zhu Fan put his hand out with a smile. The black robe grabbed it with a clap and left into the night. Zhu Fan grinned before leaving as well. Meanwhile, in a refined pavilion, Leng Wucheng was enjoying some fine wine in peace and quiet. A pop sounded and there came Zhu Fan out of the blue. Leng Wucheng wasn't fazed in the least. He even offered him a drink and a smile. Steward Zhu, it's been a while. What could have brought upon this invitation? Ha ha ha, a scheming mastermind like Sir Leng can't take a gander? Zhu Fan giggled. Leng Wucheng shook his head, enjoying the wine. Ha ha ha, I may venture one on the rest of the masses, but when it comes to Steward Zhu's treachery, since the esoteric debate, I have stopped taking wild guesses. I ask that you be plain. I shall be terse then. I have invited Sir for a simple question. Go on, Leng Wucheng waved casually. Sir Leng, what do you wish to accomplish by staying in the Regent estate for all these years? Did you grasp it? Zhu Fan asked. Leng Wucheng's cup shook, his reply bitter. Steward Zhu, don't patronize me, please. I was on the brink of taking it for myself, but then you came along and all my plans went up in smoke. Can you blame me? If it weren't me, then Prime Minister Zhuge. If not Prime Minister Zhuge, the still tough emperor. Fine, fine, just say your piece. Leng Wucheng grew impatient. Zhu Fan turned serious. Sir Leng, you have toiled in the Regent estate for decades with the prize nowhere in sight. Perhaps you may have an easier time down at the Luo clan. What? Leng Wucheng jumped, then cracked up. Steward Zhu, you've now come to steal me away. Sorry to disappoint, but what I want is something you can't understand. Moreover, the Luo clan has you. Won't adding me make it crowded? And if I'm not in the Luo clan? Squinted Zhu Fan. Leng Wucheng cried, there's no way that can happen. Following with a shake of his head, if Steward Zhu is out of the Luo clan, that house will fall apart. There'll be no point. Ha ha ha, since I plan on leaving, I will make sure to get everything ready and not let it scatter in the wind. To complete my project, I need the help of someone. Zhu Fan spoke heavily. Sir Leng, Prime Minister Zhuge once said that you and him are the right hand of leaders, but each with their own agenda. I do not know what Prime Minister Zhuge's aim is, but I do have a theory about yours. Do you remember telling me how, with the three of us together, nothing can stop us? It got me thinking. You may appear conceited, but you wish to prove yourself to stand out. I am giving you the chance now to take all the credit. Zhu Fan whispered in Leng Wucheng's ear. Leng Wucheng's calm slowly gave way to shock, and then his eyes became bugged out. Steward Zhu, that's a huge undertaking. You plan on uniting the continent? Leng Wucheng asked, still in shock. Zhu Fan smiled, never dreamed of it. I am not a schemer at heart, but a cultivator yearning for the Tao, while Sir Leng is more than eager to have such a grand achievement. Leng Wucheng nodded with a frown. Yes, this is the greatest achievement of all times, but with Regent Estate's legacy, it's no problem grasping it. Why then do you insist on having me turn to the Luo clan? Because that's where I am, and there are some things only I can provide. Zhuo Fan put on a mysterious smile. I won't force Sir Leng to make a decision now. All you have to do is a nudge from you at the right moment and you'll be on board. As for the future, you can help the Regent estate as its steward in any way you wish, and if the Luo clan falls, you won't be feeling any repercussions. Leng Wucheng gave a nod. Zhuo Fan smiled, whispering sensitive matters in his ears. All the pieces were in play, and all that was left was to wait for him, a fate changer and an anomaly, to unleash anarchy. 5 days later, Tianyu's emperor held his centennial jubilee. The world was at peace, the clans were attending, the Quanrong delegation came bearing gifts, and the 8 noble houses were present. The entire nation was in celebration. Zhuo Fan, who hardly ever cleaned up his act, was positively radiating, looking handsome and charming, though one thing he couldn't get rid of was his trademark evil smile. The celebration is the beginning of the end. Just wait and see, humph. Zhuo Fan's eyes flashed and he left the house. Luo clan's members were already waiting and their eyes lit up on his arrival. With Zhuo Fan being so lazy and uncaring of his image as usual, seeing him all freshened up and dressed was a remarkable sight. Luo Yuncheng and Yun Shuang's eyes sparkled. He, Steward Zhu, are you going on a date? Looking at you all spruced up, I wonder how many ladies' hearts are you gonna steal? Captain Pang laughed. Luo Yunhai nodded while Zhuo Fan had a vague smile. It is His Majesty's anniversary today. How could I not dress the part to show my utmost respect? Anyhow, he did make me the best steward beneath heavens. Brother Zhu, you don't usually mind such niceties. How is it that today? Captain Pang was lost. Zhuo Fan shook his head, turning to Luo Yunhai. Yunhai, no matter what happens, you mustn't panic. As a clan head, the least you must have is a steady mind. Luo Yunhai nodded, clueless as he was. As for you dwarfs, do you still remember what I told you last night? Zhuo Fan snapped to the 4 scheming demons. Laughing, the 4 pygmies were determined. Steward Zhu, if there's one thing we're good at, it's that ha ha ha. What's that? Zhuo Fan, what are you up to now? Luo Yuncheng asked. Zhuo Fan shook his head with a smile. It's nothing, come on. Luo Yuncheng could only look at him in suspicion, following the others. When the time came to take the carriage to Imperial Palace, instead of taking a ride with Yunhai and her, like usual, he shared one with Yun Shuang. This left her stunned and crestfallen. Yun Shuang jerked, her cheeks blushed, and she was about to refuse. But the jerk that Zhuo Fan always was, entered the carriage without a care and even pulled her close with an evil grin, shooing her, is something wrong or do you not like my company? Not at all. But shouldn't you go with young miss? She neither had been on the Luo clan's premises for a couple of days, nor was born yesterday. It was obvious to her that Luo Yuncheng was carrying a torch for Zhuo Fan. While Zhuo Fan being the steward and Luo Yuncheng being the master, complemented each other, while she, the outsider, felt quite awkward getting so close with another's man. Zhuo Fan didn't mind it in the least, wearing the same snickering smile. You should get used to it then. We will be spending many days together in the future. What? Yun Shuang stared at Zhuo Fan, cheeks blazing. She couldn't make sense of his words and her heart was jumping to conclusions one beat at a time. Her heart got so fast that it felt like it had burst out of her chest. Zhuo Fan sat there calmly, wearing the same all-knowing look. Luo clan's convoy was going down the imperial capital's main street en route to the imperial palace. The crown prince was waiting at the gates along with his 2 brothers. Yuan Yang grinned, crown prince nodded, and the second prince's face twitched. There was a distinct possibility that he recalled a particularly painful event for his mood to sink. The other 2 knew why, of course, choosing to ignore him and proceeding to welcome the guests. Luo Yunhai and Luo Yuncheng came out of the first carriage. The princes looked inside at the empty ride and wondered where Steward Zhuo. Zhuo Fan walked out of the second carriage, leading a blushing Yun Shuang by the hand. The 2 princes jumped to conclusions on the spot. Luo Yuncheng was staring daggers at the couple, her heart consumed by jealousy. When did they get so close? Sigh, some outstanding men have so much appeal, everyone wants them. Nobody noticed the second prince in the corner showing an odd look seeing the 2 princes so close to the couple. Brother Zhu, you're an eminent romantic. Every time I see you, you're holding a bell in each arm. Mind letting this bachelor in on your little secret? His largeness sighed. Zhuo Fan merely waved. Fatty, I'll be frank here. Everything before was a lie, while only today is real. Yun Shuang blushed harder, her heart frantic. When did Steward Zhu have such feelings for me? Luo Yuncheng shuddered, her mind blown. It was the first time Zhuo Fan was open about his feelings, never speaking of them even in front of Chu Qingcheng. Why is he suddenly bearing his soul for a lady he had met not a month ago? Is it because she bears a striking resemblance to Ninger? Luo Yuncheng felt bitter as the crown prince laughed. Congratulations, Steward Zhu. Holy maiden and a hero make for a match made in heaven, ha ha ha. Zhuo Fan held his head high with a confident smile. Yun Shuang was already riper than a tomato, lowering her head in confusion. She still didn't understand what had just happened. When did I and Steward Zhuo become an item? Please, this way, the crown prince flourished. Zhuo Fan led Yun Shuang in front, entering the grand hall. He noticed the other houses, and Zhuge Changfeng and Dugu Zhanshan were all there. Even the Quanrong delegation was present. Glancing at the still pale Zhao Lahan and Ji Bai, Zhuo Fan put on a savage smile, bringing out the fear in their eyes. Han Taimo and Chuoba Liufeng scanned him, getting shocked by the second. It was hard to fathom how a young man like Zhuo Fan possessed such godlike power. He had to be taken out yesterday. The problem was finding the means to carry this act out. Steward Zhuo, a new fling I see. An odd voice jarred Zhuo Fan's eardrums. It was Drifting Flowers Edifice's peony overseer. She took Chu Qingcheng's place in expressing her total objection with fiery and angry eyes. Peony, silence, don't be rude. Grandmother glared at her and then smiled at Zhuo Fan. Ha ha ha, Steward Zhuo, don't mind her temper. How could I? She is right after all, I do have a new fling. Zhuo Fan pulled Yun Shuang's hand for emphasis, flashing past the people and towards the Luo clan's lavish seats, making sure to seat Yun Shuang right next to him. His act made all the girls frown with envy. Secondly, Yun Shuang was blushing even harder, being showered by the Drifting Flowers Edifice's stares. She couldn't meet their gazes, feeling shameful for doing something she shouldn't. Like snatching Zhuo Fan away, the thing was she was clueless towards whatever that was going on here, Zhuo Fan being the main perpetrator. And so Yun Shuang sat on pins and needles, looking crushed next to Zhuo Fan. Her eyes were even tearing up. The house's officials and the delegation took their seats soon after, followed by the princes going in front. The crown prince smiled, ha ha ha, today is my imperial father's centennial jubilee, a national holiday. All of you coming here, especially Quanrong's delegation coming from afar, have brought much honor with your presence. A grand occasion for Tianyu and Quanrong to join hands. Rolling his eyes, Chuoba Liufeng's side wasn't used to Tianyu's customs, preaching hypocrisies and all that. All I hear is that we've come to celebrate, that it's you who are the winners in this, and you're even thankful. What kind of joke is this? No one understood that in Tianyu the emperor ruled supreme. You newcomers have come bearing gifts for the emperor, giving him prestige. Of course we take advantage of you. Why else do you think you're standing here? Faced with such tangled logic, the terse Quanrong could never wrap their heads around it. While the crown prince brushed up on his oratory skills, singing praises and all that in the imperial study, the emperor in his best clothes was putting on a mean face, ready to join the festivities. Is everyone here? The emperor's eyes flashed. A shadow kneeled. Your majesty, they are. Please give us orders. Good, I can finally see the end of this game. With carefree steps, the smiling emperor walked up to his desk and did a checkmate. The secret pearl order from 1,000 years ago is finally implemented. Tianyu is mine after all. Making a fist, the emperor turned and briskly walked towards the hall with the servants in tow.